Chapter 398, Magic Jade Tower Ordinary Member? Magic Jade Tower? Lin Yuan was shocked in his heart. Had he joined the Magic Jade Tower without realizing it? To fully comprehend all 3,333 evolution paths, Lin Yuan found it inconceivable. He had merely comprehended them without actually cultivating any. How could the other party be aware that he had done so? Magic Jade Tower. Lin Yuan's thoughts fluctuated. At the level he was currently at, he was somewhat familiar with the famous clans and powers of the main world. Even if he didn't fully understand them, he definitely had heard of them to some extent. However, before today, he had never heard of the three words Magic Jade Tower. Could it be related to the owner of this segment of the body, a power from outside the main world? Lin Yuan silently mused to himself. To become an ordinary member of the Magic Jade Tower, one must comprehend all 3,333 evolution paths contained within that segment of the body. It was easy to associate this body segment with the Magic Jade Tower. Such a method, Lin Yuan admired in his heart. He had originally thought that the greatest fortune of this corpse, over which several supreme beings fought and killed each other to snatch, was that supreme evolution path. But now it seemed that becoming a member of the Magic Jade Tower was the ultimate benefit. Magic Jade Tower? Why is demon part of its name? The clear murmur Lin Yuan had heard was not in any language he knew, yet he was able to inexplicably understand its meaning. And the name Magic Jade Tower didn't seem to denote any sort of positive force. Also, if the Supreme Being's corpse that drifted in from the eternal spatial rift was related to the Magic Jade Tower, why was it dead? Many questions flickered through Lin Yuan's mind. Magic Jade Mark. Lin Yuan began to carefully observe his soul. After understanding all 3,333 evolution paths, these paths underwent a bizarre transformation, condensing into what is called the Magic Jade Mark, which automatically made Lin Yuan an ordinary member of the Magic Jade Tower. So, that Magic Jade Mark must be the key. Lin Yuan recalled that in the end, this mark had merged into the depths of his soul. Found it. Lin Yuan quickly located a 9 floors dark tower mark in the depths of his soul. When Lin Yuan's consciousness merged with this mark, he immediately received a vast amount of information. So that's how it is. Lin Yuan appeared to be in deep thought. There were 2 ways to become a member of the Magic Jade Tower. The first method was to cultivate any one of the comprehended evolution paths. Each evolution path contained within that body segment had its massive defects and hidden dangers. Cultivating it and completely compensating for its defects, overcoming countless difficulties, one could automatically become an ordinary member of the Magic Jade Tower. The second method was to follow Lin Yuan's approach, where, without cultivating, simply comprehending all 3,333 evolution paths would trigger a certain threshold, condensing the Magic Jade Mark and automatically granting membership to the Magic Jade Tower. These 2 approaches mainly comprised 2 types of tests. The former tested whether an evolver could overcome numerous difficulties when faced with a thorny path and eventually reach the end. The latter tested the evolver's comprehension abilities and spirit will. You should know that only by comprehending, without cultivating, one would continue to face pressure on their spirit will. To still be able to comprehend all 3,333 evolution paths under such conditions, and if the time consumed did not exceed 100,000 years, then the comprehension ability of the individual could be described as terrifying. The Magic Jade Tower would very much welcome such evolvers to join. Read novel. The owner of this body segment must have been a supreme being from the Magic Jade Tower. It's just unknown for what reason he fell, and his physical body carried so many faulty evolution paths of the Magic Jade Tower. Perhaps carrying isn't the right word, rather this supreme being had been cultivating them himself, that's why we could comprehend them, Lin Yuan deduced in his heart. And there's this Magic Jade Mark. With the help of this mark, Lin Yuan faintly sensed a mysterious space. This mysterious space was not in the main world, and the Magic Jade Mark was like a key, allowing Lin Yuan entrance whenever he wished. At the same time, Lin Yuan received a warning. Do not venture into the Demon Jade space until you reach the 8th layer limit. Demon Jade space? One has to reach the 8th layer limit to go in? Lin Yuan thought to himself that although his inner world had reached over 100,000 miles in radius and could be said to be not much weaker than an 8th layer limit evolver, who knew what the demon jade space tested? What if it wasn't the inner world? Therefore, even though Lin Yuan was extremely curious about the demon jade space, he also felt that he should obediently wait until reaching the 8th layer limit before considering exploration. Considering Lin Yuan's cultivation speed, reaching the 8th layer limit wouldn't take too long anyway. Condensing the magic jade mark did not attract the attention of others. Lin Yuan opened his eyes and looked around, noting that the other evolvers were still diligently comprehending that segment of the body. From time to time, some evolvers' bodies collapsed, and soon new evolvers replaced them. Can I continue to comprehend? Lin Yuan looked towards the body segment and discovered it was still challenging them to comprehend more evolution paths. I can feel that my speed of comprehension has increased, and my spirit will has also improved to a certain degree. Is it because of that magic jade mark? Lin Yuan thought to himself. The magic jade mark did not merely act as a key, but it also stabilized Lin Yuan's soul or even his spirit will, akin to a say-calming divine needle, almost equivalent to having an 8th layer soul defense type treasure to guard it. This is too incredible. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. A mere mark could achieve the effects of an 8th layer soul defense treasure? The origins of the magic jade tower were definitely beyond imagination. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 399. Songlan Star Virtual World. Lin Yuan's figure emerged, looking at his parents and sister. Brother, Linny said, you haven't seen us in such a long time, Mom and Dad always talk about you. Lin Yuan glanced at his parents and said apologetically, I've been a bit busy recently. Most of Lin Yuan's time had been spent contemplating that body part, resulting in almost a year or two without seeing his family. It's all right, Xiaoyuan, you're now the peak master of the 13 peaks in the Qikuan star domain, being busy is normal, his mother Lu Qiong said, shaking her head. At most, she would just mention Lin Yuan a few extra times. Naturally, she wouldn't delay his matters. The family of four then sat down and chatted casually. Although Lin Yuan held a high status, his relationship with his parents and sister was exceptionally close, and he had intentionally suppressed his aura. Moreover, in the virtual world, his parents and sister didn't feel any discomfort. What level is this martial arts tournament? There are hardly any third-rank evolvers. It's far inferior to the tournament Xiaoyuan participated in, said Lin Yuan's father, Lin Shouqing, as he talked about a recent hot topic. He couldn't help but start complaining. Haha, you don't know about this? Many of the genius evolvers from our Songlan star have joined the tournament in the neighboring star system because the Qikuan Star Lord's attention will be there this time, Lin Yi interjected. Although she was just a first-rank evolver, having a brother who was a peak master meant she knew many secret matters. Martial arts tournament? Lin Yuan was slightly startled. Our Xiaoyuan was the champion of the last martial arts tournament on Songlan Star, his mother Lu Qiong said with a smile. Champion of the martial arts tournament. Lin Yuan felt somewhat strange as his thoughts drifted. The Anan Star Alliance's martial arts tournament was held every 15 years. Lin Yuan still vividly remembered the numerous opponents he faced when he took part in the tournament. Back then he was at the 3rd or 4th rank, deliberately prolonging the duration of the matches to study his opponent's evolution paths, earning the nickname Torture King. In the blink of an eye, he had now reached the pinnacle of the 7th rank, just half a step away from entering the 8th layer, and in terms of real combat power, he could crush the majority of 8th layer evolvers. His citizenship level had even reached level 7, ranking high in the Anan Star Alliance as an elder, with even ordinary star domain star lords treating him with great politeness. So it has been 15 years already, Lin Yuan mused to himself. To be precise, these 15 years were in the main world, the 15 years that his parents and sister had lived through. As for Lin Yuan, if one were to include the time spent traveling between worlds, it far exceeded 15 years, probably amounting to 1,000 years. With my current status as my teacher opens up the trial world, I shall be observing the challengers along with my fellow disciples, yet once I was one of those challengers, Lin Yuan solemnly thought to himself. Just 15 years had passed, and Lin Yuan had undergone a transformation of identity from being a challenger to a judge. After chatting with his parents and family for a while longer, Lin Yuan disconnected from the virtual world, returning to reality. Origin fine gold. With a thought, an item the size of a fist shaped like a bell appeared before Lin Yuan. This bell-shaped weapon was the Origin fine gold, which after hundreds of years of nurture in the Tianqing world, had roughly taken shape. With the shaping continued by Lin Yuan in the main world over the past few years, the Origin fine gold was now basically fully formed and ready to be used as a weapon. Guarding the physical soul, Lin Yuan's requirement for this piece of Origin fine gold was defense, the ultimate defense. The palm-sized bell-shaped weapon swiftly rose, positioned above Lin Yuan's head and cascaded down multiple layers of light screens, encasing Lin Yuan within. Not bad at all. Seeing this, Lin Yuan nodded slightly in approval. With the defensive capabilities of the current bell-shaped weapon, most 8th rank evolvers wouldn't be able to break through Lin Yuan's defenses unless they were at the pinnacle of the 8th rank, or an invincible presence like the Qikuan Star Lord, his teacher. Just as Lin Yuan was examining the bell-shaped weapon, the Qikuan Star Lord suddenly sent a message, summoning Lin Yuan. "The teacher is looking for me?" Lin Yuan stood up and quickly made his way to the red-hued Grand Hall. "Teacher." Lin Yuan bowed slightly. He felt gratitude towards the Qikuan Star Lord, who had indeed treated him with sincerity. "This is the sole defense treasure you need to repair. I've already had a friend fix it." The Qikuan Star Lord raised his right hand lightly, and a drop of water flew towards them. At last, it stopped in front of Lin Yuan. "Repaired." Lin Yuan felt a surge of joy within him. This was an 8th rank soul defense treasure he had obtained from the 8th layer evolutionist Yin. It was severely damaged, having withstood a strike from an invincible 8th layer adversary. But no matter how broken, it was still an 8th rank soul defense treasure, and Lin Yuan would not abandon it under any circumstances. Years ago, Lin Yuan had asked his teacher, the Qikuan Star Lord, to completely repair it. "I wonder how much it cost?" Lin Yuan took the drop of water and carefully examined it for a while before looking up at the Qikuan Star Lord to ask. Although repairing an 8th rank soul defense treasure was much less costly than forging a new one, it was certainly no easy feat otherwise. Lin Yuan would have dealt with it himself and not have needed to ask the Qikuan Star Lord. "Don't worry about it. It's a minor matter." The Qikuan Star Lord was unconcerned, not even asking about the origins of this drop of water. "If you care about such matters, you can take a few disciples during the opening of the 7-star cave world this time." The Qikuan Star Lord said. "The 7-star cave world? It seems this competition has brought out quite a few geniuses." Every competition, the Qikuan Star Lord would select a star system, gathering the top 10 from each planet's competition in a trial world to test if they were eligible to join the Red Kuan lineage. However, there were many trial worlds, and the 7-star cave trial world was not always available after every competition. It was only opened by the Qikuan Star Lord when the number or ratio of geniuses reached a certain level. During the last competition, there birthed the silver-haired girl Yin Ling with her spatial talent, as well as that Tri-Eye clan male and 2 other red pattern layer geniuses. Indeed, there are some promising youngsters. The Qikuan Star Lord nodded. To him, even the strongest talents were merely adequate, unless, like Lin Yuan, they directly grasped the mysterious yellow evolution path's essence. Otherwise, he hardly considered personally taking disciples. "He'll have a look when the time comes," Lin Yuan replied, indicating that if he indeed found suitable evolvers, he would not mind incorporating them into 13 Peaks. Of course, initially, Lin Yuan would only take peripheral disciples. Only if they continued to impress him would he gradually promote them to core disciples and eventually direct disciples. Time passed. More than half a month flew by in an instant. One day, in the virtual world, the Qikuan Star Lord once again opened the 7 Stars Cave world. Over 1 million candidates were thrown into this trial world, and numerous candidates, after initial confusion, began their journey towards the second star cave, the third star cave. Somewhere in the mysterious space in the seven-star cave world, 12 figures stood casually. They were the 12 peak masters, who were now casually observing the evolvers undergoing trials below. Just then, Lin Yuan appeared. Little junior brother, you're here. Later if you take a fancy to any of them, just say so. Yes, but don't forget to leave some for the eldest senior brother. We don't mind it, but the eldest senior brother is about to go to other star domains and needs people under his command. The peak masters greeted Lin Yuan with great enthusiasm. Lin Yuan responded to each of them. The peak masters within the Red Kun lineage were quite united, without much scheming against each other, which also related to the Qikuan Star Lord's personality. Over 1,050,000 candidates. Lin Yuan arrived at his position, overlooking the first star cave and the second star cave below. The number of evolvers in this round of 7-star cave trials exceeded his time by 500,000, with over 1,050,000 candidates in total. The last time the 7-star cave world was opened, I was also one of those million-odd candidates. Lin Yuan looked down, his thoughts adrift. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 400. This session of the 7-star cave examination really did bring forth many geniuses. There were 13 red pattern challengers alone, and nearly 1,000 golden pattern challengers. You must know, whether it's red pattern or golden pattern, they are all personally recognized by the Qikuan Star Lord, although it cannot represent their full potential. But to become a red pattern, at the very least the unveiled talent and potential definitely ranks at the very top of all the challengers. And at this moment, under the watchful eyes of Lin Yuan and various peak masters, challengers, filled with vigor, continuously made their way through layer after layer of star caves, heading toward the ultimate 7th star cave. That red pattern challenger must have awakened some special fire system bloodline, with not low potential. Does anyone want him? Third senior brother's eyes shone as he asked. You can have him. I don't follow the fire system rules. Special bloodline, eh? It looks like it should be one of those superior fire system bloodlines. The peak masters started to speak one after another. Lin Yuan also took a careful look at that red pattern challenger. Indeed not bad. Lin Yuan nodded to himself. Although Lin Yuan didn't have any special bloodline, he had to admit that a superior bloodline physique truly provided significant help in cultivation. Especially in the early stages, a superior bloodline could even achieve victory over those at higher ranks. Since third senior brother wants him, I won't compete, Lin Yuan thought to himself. For Lin Yuan, it was only based on the suggestion of the Qikuan Star Lord that he planned to take in a few challengers. As for who exactly, that was not yet determined. To compete with brothers over a mere challenger? Lin Yuan felt it was unnecessary. I wonder if this time in the 7-star cave world, anyone will pass the ultimate challenge? Second senior brother said with a nostalgic tone, casually mentioning it. The so-called ultimate challenge was to comprehend the barest trace of the mysterious yellow evolution path. It was by achieving this that the Qikuan Star Lord, who was in seclusion and not to be disturbed, took the initiative to come out of seclusion and personally accepted Lin Yuan as the 13th disciple. You should know, before this, the Qikuan Star Lord had not taken a disciple for 10,000 years. Ordinary challengers, even if they were red patterns, could not catch the eye of the Qikuan Star Lord. With the talents of a red pattern challenger, at most they could hope to advance to the 6th rank, while every disciple taught by the Qikuan Star Lord starts from the 6th rank. The ultimate challenge? Our Red Kun lineage in 10,000 years only had junior brother emerge. Now to expect another one? How is that possible? Right, what do these challengers have to compare to junior brother? The 12 peak masters casually chatted. Under 100 years old 7th rank evolvers were rare, not to mention in the Qikuan Star domain, even the entire Anan Star Alliance had only seen a few. How could there be 2 emerging in the Qikuan Star domain consecutively? Lin Yuan listened to his senior brothers chatting, occasionally chiming in. Eldest senior brother, When do you plan to go to the star domains outside to be stationed? Fourth senior brother's Wagu asked softly. The eldest senior brother, having stepped into the 8th layer, needed to fulfill the obligations of human civilization, stationing in a star domain for 500 years. This star domain, naturally, is not the star domains within human civilization, but recently developed fringe star domains. The Human Civilization Alliance is constantly expanding, and with that, the territory of human civilization is continuously growing. The star domains where 8th rank evolvers are required to station are the newly occupied territories of human civilization. In these territories, the main enemies are definitely quelled by the powerhouses of human civilization, but there still remains some residual tribal forces. It then depends on the decision of the Star Lord stationed in these star domains, whether to leave these residual forces and integrate them into human civilization or continue to quell them. It all depends on the will of the Star Lord. Each Star Lord's governance philosophy differs. Some Star Lords wish for all 10,000 universe races to coexist in harmony, while others believe that those of different species inherently carry different hearts. After this session of the 7-star cave examination has passed, I will set out. The eldest senior brother said. The edge of human civilization territory, not without danger, but an 8th rank evolver is no easy prey. To completely kill an 8th rank evolver? Difficult to accomplish, and by the 8th rank, they typically have avatars. To encourage 8th rank evolvers to be stationed at fringe starfields, the supreme beings of human civilization long ago made promises that any evolver who died at the hands of different species within the 500 years of their station would be given resurrection. Tens of thousands of years ago, the star domain Chikuan Star Lord was stationed at was indeed the boundary star domain of human civilization. It's just that after many years of expansion, the Chikuan star domain which was on the edge of the territory is now within the core of human civilization territory. Time passed. One after another, the challengers finally entered the 7th star cave and began to comprehend the more than 100 stone statues wholeheartedly. And after observations along the way, Lin Yuan and the other peak masters had roughly made their choices among the challengers. For the peak masters, it was only when selecting red pattern challengers that they would announce to each other, with the 13 red pattern challengers matching perfectly for the 13 peak masters, one for each. As for golden pattern and silver pattern challengers, they hardly made any greetings because the numbers of golden and silver pattern were too vast. If by a slim chance, 2 peak masters chose the same golden pattern, they would let the golden pattern challenger decide themselves which peak master to join. Of course, if they encountered some special golden pattern challengers, there would be a peak master speaking up beforehand, but this situation was rare. Ordinarily, the hopes for golden pattern challengers to step into the 6th rank were much smaller than those of red pattern challengers. Junior brother, have you made your choice? Second senior brother curiously looked at Lin Yuan. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 401. I've almost made my decision. I chose 3 people this time, Lin Yuan nodded. Not all challengers are selected by the peak masters. The vast majority of challengers are not chosen, but after joining the Red Kuan lineage, they strive to join a peak master through their postnatal efforts. Just like Feng Qing initially did not join any peak master's command. The same batch of red pattern evolvers were quickly picked by some peak masters early on. Being chosen early by a peak master equates to bypassing many detours. Which 3? The fellow senior brothers immediately became interested. They wanted to know which 3 challengers the junior brother with the remarkable talent had chosen. Mo Li, Feng Yu, Wulan, Lin Yuan said directly. Mo Li was one of the 13 ranked red pattern evolvers. When selecting him, Lin Yuan had discussed it with his senior brothers. As a red pattern evolver, Mo Li had notable talent, having formed a combat heart at the 4th rank, with combat power far surpassing others of the same rank, ranking within the top 3 among the 13 red patterns. Combat heart represents a certain realm, excelling in combat and innately close to rules related to slaughter. As for Feng Yu and Wu Lan, one was a golden pattern, and the other was a silver pattern, Lin Yuan just casually picked them, taking those who caught his eye. Feng Yu follows the wind system rules and is already near mastering it, standing out among golden pattern challengers. As for Wu Lan, she is a silver pattern challenger. Lin Yuan chose her purely because she follows the martial path evolutionary path. Although the martial path evolutionary path is extremely famous in the Qikuan star domain, it emerged too recently. There are some third-rank martial arts evolutionaries, but most are over 100 years old. Even if not over 100 years old, they don't necessarily participate in the arena competitions of the Qikuan star domain. Thus, seeing a third-rank martial arts evolutionary in this 7-star cave trial was quite rare, and Lin Yuan casually selected her. The junior brothers' choices are quite patterned. Upon hearing this, the peak masters looked at each other and couldn't help but smile wryly. 1 red pattern. 1 golden pattern. 1 silver pattern. Isn't it spreading benefits evenly? I chose randomly, Lin Yuan said with a smile. Aside from the red pattern, the remaining 2 were indeed chosen randomly. The golden pattern challenger you picked seems to overlap with what the eldest senior brother chose. The second senior brother seemed to think of something and hastily said, "Overlapped." The eldest senior brother was stunned. "Is it called Feng Yu?" "Then I'll let the junior brother have him," the eldest senior brother said outright. A mere golden pattern. Even if it were a red pattern, if the junior brother desired it, the eldest senior brother would let it go outright. "You don't need to do this," Lin Yuan immediately said. "Let him choose for himself." Lin Yuan thought for a while, letting the eldest senior brother concede, which also made him feel somewhat embarrassed. "That's fine. Let Feng Yu choose for himself," the eldest senior brother said, having no objections. After all, it was just a golden pattern challenger, nothing compared to their fraternity among the peak masters. The other peak masters at the scene saw this and didn't find it strange. It was just another golden pattern challenger, and such challengers appeared every 15 years, nothing special. Freebnol. All the evolvers who passed the 7-star cave trial were teleported to a square. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, the 7-star cave trial ended. At this moment, only a few thousand challengers were standing on this square. From the initial over 150 million to the present few thousand, the pass rate was roughly 1,000th. At this time, the few thousand challengers standing there all had tense expressions. Because what followed would be the moment that decided their destinies. Everyone who passed the 7-star cave scene was now under the watch of the 13 peak masters. Based on performance, the 13 peak masters would select a batch to join their command. For everyone, this was akin to the chance of carp transforming into a dragon. Being able to join a peak master directly meant bypassing many detours and attaining a significant position within the Red Kuan lineage. Fang Qing's figure appeared on this square. The 3 challengers the peak master wants to recruit. As the housekeeper of the current 13 peaks, Fang Qing was specifically responsible for many matters atop the 13 peaks. After Lin Yuan informed him of the names of the challengers who had passed the 7-star cave trial, he was in charge of notifying them. The first, silver pattern challenger Wu Lan. Fang Qing walked up to a nervous young girl and said gently, "The 13th peak master invites you to join 13 peaks. If you wish, just enter through the 13th door later." After finishing his words, Fang Qing pointed towards the 13 doors in the distance, where the 13th door belonged to the 13th peak master. "I am willing." Wu Lan's mind was a blur, and after coming to her senses, she hurriedly said excitedly, "My God." She was actually noticed by the 13th peak master. As a silver pattern challenger, the probability of being selected by a peak master was very low, let alone by the famed 13th peak master known throughout the Qikuan star domain and even the Annan Star Alliance. Before participating in this arena competition, Wu Lan was already a fan of the 13th peak master. She hadn't expected to be able to join 13 peaks at this moment. Wu Lan was somewhat dizzy from the unexpected benefit that befell her. The other challengers around were looking at Wu Lan with envy. But they could only envy, for whom the peak masters chose to pick was entirely up to the peak masters. After notifying Wu Lan, Fang Qing then walked towards another challenger, Feng Yu. "The 13th peak master also wants me to join?" Feng Yu was a handsome man who hesitated upon hearing Fang Qing's words. Indeed. If you agree, just enter through the 13th door later. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 402. Fang Qing finished speaking and then turned to leave, walking towards the last of the examiners. 13 Peaks Master. Feng Yu naturally had heard of the 13 Peaks Master, a top-class prodigy with exceptional brilliance in the Qikuan star domain, a freak who stepped into the 7th rank before the age of 100. At the same time, the 13 Peaks Master was the only disciple the Qikuan Star Lord had taken in for 10,000 years. In theory, Feng Yu should have been overjoyed to accept the invitation from the 13 Peaks Master. It was just that before this, the Great Peak Master had also sent someone to invite him. This made Feng Yu hesitate. Although the Great Peak Master's innate talent was not as good as that of the 13 Peaks Master. But having stepped into the 8th layer not long ago, even if the 13 Peaks Master was extremely talented, who knows how long it would take to go from 7th to 8th layer. The 13 Peaks Master is indeed a top-level prodigy, but he's too young. How could he possibly know how to teach disciples? Feng Yu thought to himself. Moreover, the 13 Peaks Master has only invited me to become a peripheral member of the 13 Peaks, but the Great Peak Master promised that if I joined the first peak, I would be an inner member right away, and it's only a matter of time before becoming a core member. After weighing the options, Feng Yu ultimately decided to choose the Great Peak Master. After all, one was at the 8th layer, the other at the 7th. One an inner core member, the other peripheral. Most importantly, having experienced so many years, the Great Peak Master, who had deeply received the true teachings of the Qikuan Star Lord, would certainly far exceed the 13 Peaks Master in teaching disciples. Among the red pattern examiners, Mo Li sat cross-legged. Being one of the 13 red patterns, Mo Li was certain to be valued by a Peak Master. At this moment, what Mo Li pondered was, which Peak Master would invite him. Compared to Feng Yu, Mo Li's background was much greater, and he had a precise analysis of the various Peak Masters. The 13 Peaks Master wishes to. Fang Qing walked up to Mo Li. The 13 Peaks Master invites me? Mo Li's eyes lit up, and he felt an instant surge of elation in his heart. He came from a 7th rank power of the Anan Star Alliance, specifically coming to the Qikuan Star domain to participate in the arena competition in hopes of joining the Red Kuan lineage. After an analysis with the elders of his power, Mo Li knew that the best outcome within the Red Kuan lineage would be to become a disciple of the Qikuan Star Lord, but that was unrealistic. Fuabenf. Apart from the Qikuan Star Lord, the 7th rank evolver in Mo Li's power weighed the options and concluded that it was best to be under the youngest and least experienced 13 Peaks Master. Although the Great Peak Master had entered the 8th layer earlier, given the 13 Peaks Master's talent, ascending to the 8th layer was just a matter of time. Furthermore, the 13 Peaks Master, being the beloved junior disciple of the Qikuan Star Lord, might very well become the 2nd Qikuan Star Lord, an invincible existence at the 8th layer. Thus, the earlier he entered under the 13 Peaks Master, the more benefits he would obtain, a great opportunity. After the housekeepers of the various Peak Masters completed their invitations, one by one, the evolvers began walking towards the distant 13 gates. The 13 gates, from the 1st to the 13th, respectively represented the 1st Peak Master to the 13th Peak Master of the Red Kuan lineage. Swish, swish, swish. After all the examiners entered the gates, they were then transported to a pavilion. You didn't choose the 13 Peaks Master? Mo Li, with a joyful mind and spirit, had been placed under the 13 Peaks Master, only feeling a bright future ahead of him. However, when he saw the one character imprinted on Feng Ye's sleeve, he immediately felt some astonishment. The number on the sleeve represented the examiner's choice. Mo Li's sleeve was imprinted with 13. But Mo Li remembered that Fang Qing, the housekeeper of the 13 Peaks, had invited Feng Yu. How come the other party had not joined the 13 Peaks? Lord Mo Li. Upon seeing the red pattern examiner addressing him, Feng Yu immediately responded with respectful posture. I have chosen the Great Peak Master. To give up the 13 Peaks Master, to choose the Great Peak Master, Li looked at Fengyu somewhat surprised, then turned and walked away. In his mind, he couldn't help criticizing, foolish. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 403. What does Lord Li mean? Fengyu, seeing Li turn away without hesitation, felt a sense of foreboding. In terms of background, he was far inferior to Li, coming from a power that had once produced a 6th-rank fallen star warrior. However, having been defined as a golden pattern, Fengyu was naturally not foolish. He knew that among the 13 Peak Masters, the talent and innate abilities were the strongest and most favored by the Qikuan Star Lord. After all, he was a junior disciple. But what of it? No matter how strong the innate talent, it has no direct connection with whether one would teach a disciple. In the many alliances of human civilization stars, there were numerous invincible existences at the 8th layer, but the Qikuan Star Lord was unique because he excelled at mentoring disciples. The Great Peak Master's innate talent was not as good as that of the Xianxia Peak Master, but after all, he had been with the Star Lord the longest and had now stepped into the 8th layer. He would soon preside over a star domain and become a new Star Lord. His choice of the Great Peak Master might be surpassed by the Xianxia Peak Master after a long period, but at least before that long period, his Fengyu's choice was definitely not wrong. However, Fengyu's thoughts began to waver when he saw Li's tone when asking him the question and the look of astonishment when he learned of his choice of the Great Peak Master. Li, being a red pattern examiner and with a mysterious and enormous background, surely knew many things that he himself was unaware of. Could it be that he had chosen wrongly with such a reaction from the other party? Fengyu began to doubt himself. He looked at the one on his sleeve cuff. This number was the mark of the 13 Peak Masters. Once it appeared, it could not be changed. Perhaps a red pattern examiners could change it, but he, merely a golden pattern challenger, definitely had no such possibility. After all, it involved the dignity of the 13 Peak Masters. Before entering those 13 grand doors, the challengers could make their own choices, but once they entered, it was already decided. I don't believe I made the wrong choice. That Xianxia Peak Master, no matter how monstrous his talent, will take a great deal of time to step into the 8th layer, thousands or even tens of thousands of years. Before then, my choice is correct. Even a strong 7th rank is still a 7th rank. It can't compare to an 8th layer. Fengyu steadied his mind, thinking that Li did this deliberately to shake his mental state. Half a day later, Fengyu, along with many other challengers, entered the first mountain peak to meet the Great Peak Master. Greetings, Peak Master. Dozens of evolvers respectfully saluted the Great Peak Master. Rise. The Great Peak Master was casually indifferent. Among these challengers, only that red pattern could catch his eye more than once, but as for golden patterns, being chosen to join the first mountain peak, they were essentially all golden patterns. Golden pattern challengers were unparalleled geniuses dominating a planet in the outside world, but here, they were just starting out. Great Peak Master? Fengyu sneakily glanced at the Great Peak Master. Having forsaken the Xianxia Peak Master and chosen the Great Peak Master, maybe I will be treated differently? Fengyu thought secretly, a glimmer of hope rising in his heart. However, to Fengyu's disappointment, the Great Peak Master didn't give him an extra glance from start to finish. After listening to the Great Peak Master's instructions, he was led out with the other challengers. No special treatment? Fengyu felt dejected. No matter. The Great Peak Master is an 8th layer evolver. There will be many more days ahead. Definitely better than choosing the Xianxia Peak Master. Fengyu comforted himself. 13th Mountain Virtual World. Li and Wulan entered the Grand Hall with nervousness, and upon seeing Lin Yuan, they respectfully saluted. Greetings, Peak Master. Lin Yuan sat in the high seat, looking down at these two young challengers. One was 87, the other 69. Those evolvers who participated in the tournament were all under 100 years old, many being 98 or 99. hoping to seize the last chance to make a break. Although Lin Yuan was younger than these two challengers, with the years spent traveling through worlds, his true age was much older. 13th Mountain doesn't have many people. Since you've been chosen by me, you are now people of the 13th Mountain, Lin Yuan said, looking at them. Yes. Mo Li and Wu Lan were invigorated and hurriedly responded. Especially Wu Lan, who originally hadn't thought that, as a silver pattern challenger, she would be directly chosen by a peak master, let alone the greatly renowned Shirsan peak master. Just join the 13th Mountain, I will give you some guidance. Lin Yuan looked at Mo Li and said, Mo Li, you have condensed a fighting spirit and have a talent in combat. Don't resist. Okay. Upon hearing this, Mo Li immediately let down all defenses. Lin Yuan's consciousness immediately began to probe into Mo Li's physical body. Although Mo Li's body here was not his true body, the virtual world's complete replication made it virtually no different from the true body. Lin Yuan observed Mo Li's physical soul carefully, and based on Mo Li's forte in combat, he began to ponder. Your perception defies heaven, comprehending the unknown physical soul and conceiving the corresponding evolution secret technique? In just over a dozen breaths, an evolution secret technique completely suitable for Mo Li was created by Lin Yuan. This evolution secret technique, specifically tailored for Mo Li, might be ineffective for other evolvers to practice, but for Mo Li, it was a guiding light for the current and even future stages. It could correct the path Mo Li was on and even allow him to go further in the future. Lin Yuan withdrew his consciousness, looking at Mo Li. Peak Master? Mo Li opened his eyes, somewhat anxiously asked. I have a secret technique that suits you well. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 404. Lin Yuan's mind stirred slightly, and he transmitted the secret technique he had just comprehended directly into Mo Li's sea of consciousness. Comprehending this secret technique did not consume too much of Lin Yuan's energy. After all, it didn't need to be widely applicable, it just had to suit Mo Li's condition. Moreover, Lin Yuan was already at the pinnacle of the 7th rank, while Mo Li was only 4th rank, so it wasn't an exaggeration to say that guiding from a higher plane was a simple and easy task. This secret technique? Mo Li glanced briefly at the evolution secret skill that surged into his mind and was immediately shocked. He could feel that this secret technique was extremely compatible with him, as if it were tailor-made for him. This was utterly inconceivable. You must know, although evolution secret techniques were far from having as significant an impact as evolution paths on evolvers, choosing the right secret technique suited to oneself could often lead to twice the result with half the effort. However, with secret techniques vast as fireworks, how to choose a suitable secret technique for comprehension was a massive challenge. Each evolver's condition is different, experiences vary, and physical constitutions are vastly diverse, even for an invincible 8th layer being like the Chikuan Star Lord. Choosing a suitable secret technique for a disciple also required time to observe. Even then, the evolution secret technique chosen in the end was not wholly compatible with oneself. To find a secret technique that perfectly matches one would need luck. But now, Mo Li felt that the evolution secret technique bestowed by the 13 Peaks Peak Master was perfectly aligned with him. This simply made it hard for him to believe. Wrong. The outside world sees the 13 Peaks Peak Master as a freak of talent and aptitude, but now it seems the master's methods of instructing disciples are also. Mo Li was inwardly excited, yet he did not know how to describe it. Merely observing him for a while, the Peak Master had selected an evolution secret technique that was a perfect fit for him, a method that indeed defied common sense. What Mo Li did not know was that this secret technique wasn't picked out by Lin Yuan at all, but was comprehended on the spot based on the state of his physical soul. This secret technique is a secret of the 13 peaks. Do not divulge it, said Lin Yuan, noticing that Mo Li was lost in thought, as he reminded him. Yes. Thank you, Master, for your great kindness. Mo Li immediately came to his senses and knelt to kowtow on the ground. The most important aspect of a teacher instructing a disciple is guidance. For Lin Yuan to select an evolution secret technique that perfectly matched Mo Li was akin to being reborn. How could Mo Li not know the grace bestowed by Lin Yuan? Lin Yuan nodded, his gaze shifting to Wu Lan beside him. Peak Master. Wu Lan immediately called out anxiously. Seeing Mo Li's excited demeanor and his expression almost chanting the great Tao is within grasp, Wu Lan felt even more puzzled, as she was the most ordinary silver pattern challenger, already feeling immense pressure facing Mo Li, a red pattern individual. You are cultivating the martial path evolutionary path? Lin Yuan looked towards Wu Lan and asked. Having watched Wu Lan's trial video in the 7-star cave world, Lin Yuan knew the path she had taken. Of course, Wu Lan's final choice of rule was not Taiyin and Taiyang but the water rule from the basic 5 elements. Yes. Wu Lan immediately responded. The martial path evolutionary path was popular in the Qikuan star domain, albeit with not many strong practitioners, as it had only surfaced not long ago. Water nourishes all things without a sound. Your path should be based on the rule of water, comprehending deeply the other 4 elements of metal, wood, fire, and earth. Lin Yuan pondered for a while. As the founder of martial Tao, perhaps no other evolver in the world understood it better than he. With one glance, he laid out Wu Lan's future cultivation plan. At the same time, with a point of his right hand, Lin Yuan transmitted an evolution secret technique to guide Wu Lan's cultivation into her sea of consciousness. If Wu Lan could reach a certain depth in the 5 elements rules of metal, wood, water, fire, earth by the 6th rank, and also gain a basic understanding of the space rules, comprehending the fundamental spatial model, she might be able to create a small 5 elements world at the pinnacle of the 6th rank, but Lin Yuan felt that given Wu Lan's displayed talent and aptitude, it would be hard to achieve this goal. If not at the 6th rank, then at the 7th, the method of opening the realm with the 5 elements rules plus the space rules was set, and Wu Lan's future path should not encounter any significant problems. Wu Lan's eyes widened. The evolution secret technique Lin Yuan transmitted into her mind was crystal clear, like the ultimate truths of evolution manifested. At this moment, Wu Lan finally understood why Mo Li, as a red pattern challenger, had shown such an expression. It was the excitement of seeing one's future path, and the thrill of understanding the Tao that made life worth living even if death followed hearing it in the evening. Thank you for the guidance, Peak Master. Without hesitation, Wu Lan knelt on the ground and gave a kowtow. Very well. You too practice diligently. Lin Yuan waved his hand, signaling them to leave. It wasn't until Mo Li and Wu Lan had left that Lin Yuan withdrew his gaze. I hope you too won't disappoint me, Lin Yuan thought to himself. Qikuan Main Star. Deep within the 13 Peaks Great Hall, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged, his mind observing the magic jade mark branded within his soul. This magic jade mark is connected to that mysterious space. Lin Yuan's thoughts drifted, and he faintly perceived through the magic jade mark a vast and mysterious space. This mysterious space was completely closed off. Even sensing its existence, one could not enter, not even a supreme being, unless they had the magic jade mark as the key to explore it. In fact, the current human civilization's evolvers who contemplate the evolution path enveloped within that segment of the body are not wrong in their approach, Lin Yuan silently mused. To condense the magic jade mark, one needed to follow one of 2 methods. Freeweb novel. One was like Lin Yuan, who fathomed all 3,333 evolution paths. The other was to choose one evolution path to cultivate, continuously perfecting and supplementing this path until the end, which could also result in the condensation of the magic jade mark. Presently, most evolvers of human civilization followed the second method. However, thus far, not a single evolver had succeeded in traversing it completely, and the vast majority had failed utterly. As for the first method, Lin Yuan, who possessed an against heaven's understanding, managed to achieve it, a feat difficult for other evolvers of the human alliance to replicate. Still, I should inform the goddess of wisdom. It's at least another path, Lin Yuan reflected and made up his mind. According to the rules set by the 3 goddesses, anyone who could benefit the human civilization alliance would receive merit points as a reward. The Human Civilization Alliance wouldn't let down any evolvers who made a contribution. Goddess of Wisdom. Lin Yuan directly contacted the Goddess of Wisdom. Respected 7th level citizen Lin Yuan, the Goddess of Wisdom is pleased to be of service to you, came the solemn and cool voice of the Goddess of Wisdom. I have some information about the body from the large alien battlefield, Lin Yuan quickly said. Upon these words, the Goddess of Wisdom fell into a noticeably silent moment. Clearly, she had not anticipated that Lin Yuan would speak of this matter, especially since it involved intelligence on the body of a supreme being from beyond their world. 7th level citizen Lin Yuan, please proceed, the Goddess of Wisdom responded. Lin Yuan could sense the seriousness in the Goddess of Wisdom's voice and even had the feeling that the goddess' main consciousness had descended at this moment. I do not know the specifics. What I am certain of is that there are two ways to discern the secrets within that body. One is to cultivate the evolutionary path one has perceived and to follow it to its end. The other is not to cultivate any one evolutionary path but to perceive all 3,333 evolution paths from that body. Lin Yuan concealed the part about the magic jade mark and the magic jade tower. Without being sure of which power the magic jade tower belonged to, Lin Yuan felt it was best not to reveal this information. After all, having spoken about the methods, Lin Yuan felt he had done right by his human identity. 7th level citizen Lin Yuan, please wait a moment. After speaking, the Goddess of Wisdom fell silent. Lin Yuan understood that the Goddess of Wisdom was verifying the authenticity of the information he had shared. The three goddesses were no fools. They wouldn't just take Lin Yuan's word for it without prior validation. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 405. I wonder how many merit points this intelligence can fetch? Lin Yuan felt expectant, having tasted the many exclusive privileges of a 7th level citizen. He now desired to advance to an 8th level citizen as soon as possible. In the entire Anon Star Alliance, there is only one 8th level citizen in this era, the Star Alliance Council Speaker. Even in the face of an 8th level citizen, beings as formidable as the Chikuan Star Lord and the 9 Dragon Star Lord, who stand at the 8th layer, must show respect. Unfortunately, advancing from a 6th level to a 7th level citizen is as difficult as reaching the heavens, and moving from the 7th to the 8th level is like crossing a chasm. Even the Chikuan Star Lord, having slain innumerable alien strong ones, has yet to accumulate enough merit points to become an 8th level citizen. Many of the scholars who opened up a complete 8th layer evolution path are also not 8th level citizens. Lin Yuan understood that the intelligence he spoke of could not possibly fill the merit point deficit required to level up to an 8th level citizen. However, it could at least lessen the difficulty of advancing to an 8th level citizen in the future. An hour later, the voice of the Goddess of Wisdom came again. Respected 7th level citizen Lin Yuan, the intelligence you provided has been assessed to be worth 1.5 million merit points. Would you like them to be issued now? 1.5 million merit points? A smile emerged on Lin Yuan's face. He had earned 3 million merit points for creating the 7th-stage Martial Tao chapter, and now, a mere piece of intelligence was valued at half the 7th-stage Martial Tao chapter? Issue them. Lin Yuan felt satisfied. He knew the intelligence he provided sounded like it would help human civilization's evolvers find another way to comprehend that body segment. But that's only how it sounded. How many evolvers could achieve it? The very thought of comprehending 3,333 evolution paths made one's scalp tingle. For almost all evolvers, this method was much more difficult than directly practicing a specific evolution path. The Goddess of Wisdom's valuation of this intelligence at 1.5 million merit points had exceeded Lin Yuan's expectations. Like evolution paths, if an evolution path is rated at the 9th or 10th rank, or even higher, its value is naturally immense. But if you add the caveat, impossible to cultivate, before this evolution path, then its value would undoubtedly plummet, and the intelligence Lin Yuan provided was such that, at least at the moment, No evolver could fathom all 3,333 evolution paths. Even if it could be achieved in the future, that would be a matter of much later on. As Lin Yuan consented, 5 million merit points were deposited into his account. However, if it's just about practicing a specific evolution path, perfecting it, and reaching the end, a supreme being can do it. Logically, supreme beings should have already congealed the magic jade mark and known the method I spoke of, Lin Yuan suddenly thought. Perhaps the conditions for supreme beings to congeal the magic jade mark are different from ours? Lin Yuan speculated. Considering the stature of supreme beings, merely perfecting and repairing a flawed evolution path is not difficult. Based on the difficulty of becoming an ordinary member of the Magic Jade Tower, the test for supreme beings should be higher, or maybe they join the Magic Jade Tower not as ordinary members at all. Several days later, Lin Yuan opened the current map of the cosmic starry sky in the human civilization territory. The star domain that Big Brother chose to preside over is located on the southeast edge of the human civilization territory, where it touches other powerful clans. Lin Yuan had already learned from his elder martial brother which star domain he would preside over. The newly opened star domains of human civilization are not like the Chikuan star domain, which has been developed for hundreds of thousands of years and is essentially a stronghold that faces no danger. A star domain on the edge of the territory, being newly developed and bordering different species, along with many areas inside the territory that have not been completely cleared, such as some entrenched special life clans or cosmic secret realms, etc. All of these await the Star Lords to handle. Newly promoted 8th layer evolvers are required to preside over a star domain for 500 years, not for leisure, but truly to fight for human civilization. Big Brother has chosen a good location. At least it's not bordering peak clans. Lin Yuan mused to himself. Merely bordering several powerful clans promised high safety since powerful clans would not dare to be enemies with human civilization, let alone taking action against a Star Lord. If someone acted today, the nest of that powerful clan could be flattened by human civilization tomorrow. But peak clans are different. Of course, normally, human civilization and other peak clans are quite restrained toward each other. The commotion last time in the battlefields of different races was because the insect race was fighting over a supreme evolution path. That's why they almost flipped the table. A supreme evolution path belonging to a fallen supreme being has the potential to produce another supreme being. And a supreme being can completely change the overall situation of the many alliances of peak clans. The insect race naturally spared no effort. Even so, after the event, the insect race alliance suffered consequences from human civilization. Many powerful clans within suffered heavy losses, with the Heiyuan clan's homeland being wiped out by 1/10. Issues that concern the birth of a supreme being are a cause for peak clans like the insect race to fall out with human civilization. As for other matters, there is no need to go that far. Although there is mutual infiltration and assassination of each other's talented individuals, overall they are contained within a certain range. When I step into the 8th layer, I will also need to choose a star domain to preside over. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 406. Lin Yuan had communicated with the eldest senior brother multiple times, which appeared caring, but in fact, it was also for his own sake. After all, at present, Lin Yuan was only a step away from the 8th layer, and his mental will index had soared to over 9,800 after condensing the magic jade mark. The 10,000-point threshold was within reach. As long as his mental will index reached 10,000 points, Lin Yuan would be able to step directly into the 8th layer. At that time, my true self will go to the star domain to sit in command. The Yin God will remain on the battlefields of different races to comprehend the eternal spatial rift, and the Yang spirit will stay on the Chikuan main star, leaving behind a drop of essence blood, Lin Yuan thought to himself. The true self with the strongest power would be sweeping all combat power in the star domain. Even if an accident occurred and the true self fell, the essence blood left on the Chikuan main star could rapidly grow and return, in the most perfect form with the help of the divine skill blood rebirth. There would be no need to resort to the measures derived from the yin spirit and yang spirit for generating a physical body. Of course, to minimize losses, the true self that was going to sit in command at the star domain definitely couldn't carry any treasures. Otherwise, if it died and lost the treasures, Lin Yuan would still feel pained. A physical body could be reborn, but treasures could not be brought back. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Lin Yuan pondered for a while and slightly shook his head. According to the Human Civilization Alliance's data, the mortality rate for newly promoted 8th rank evolvers going to sit in command in the fringe starfield is very low. That's the case for ordinary 8th rank evolvers, let alone Lin Yuan, who could crush most of the 8th layer when he was only at the 7th rank. When he gets promoted to the 8th rank, his combat power will once again undergo a great transformation, by which time he could probably stand shoulder to shoulder with those at the pinnacle of the 8th layer. Virtual world. Inside a bar. This bar was open only to evolvers above the 7th rank, forming a high-ranking evolver communication venue in human civilization. Lin Yuan was sitting in a corner, casually chatting with Gao Wufeng. Some time ago, Gao Wufeng, practicing the evolution path derived from that body part, almost lost himself in madness, but was timely suppressed by his teacher, the Nine-Sword Star Master, and has barely recovered recently. I finally understand why you, Xianxia, did not cultivate the evolution path within that body part back then. It turns out you were pursuing a second method. Gao Wufeng had an epiphany. Not long ago, the goddess of wisdom once again announced that comprehending that body part involved not only direct cultivation but also the deduction of a certain number of evolution paths as another way. The goddess of wisdom specifically emphasized that this method was extremely difficult, which is why it wasn't announced immediately but was tested with a selection of talented evolvers first. Now that it was confirmed there were no problems, it was finally announced to the public. Lin Yuan shook his head and smiled. The goddess of wisdom was indeed considerate. This way, it happened to conceal Lin Yuan's identity. I understand, you cannot divulge such a secret to outsiders, Xianxia. Gao Wufeng immediately expressed his understanding. But this method is too outrageous, comprehending a certain number of evolution paths? Under that kind of spirit will pressure, it's hard enough just to maintain sanity, let alone deduce one evolution path after another? Gao Wufeng shook his head, his tone revealing helplessness. Indeed, this method is extremely safe. At least one spirit would not be affected by incorrect evolution paths for Abnal. But realistically, it's almost impossible to achieve. If you don't cultivate the deduced evolution paths, you will continue to be suppressed by the psychic will pressure. This kind of pressure isn't from weak to strong but is based on the strength of the evolver's spirit will. Even if your mental will index reached 20,000 points, under that spirit will pressure, you would quickly reach your limit. And then, it all depends on your endurance. Before comprehending that body part, Lin Yuan's mental will index was just over 7,000 points, but after a few years of comprehending, it was nearly 10,000 points. Under the pressure of the seemingly inexhaustible spirit will, it's a kind of tempering for one's own spirit will. I haven't deduced too many myself, Lin Yuan nodded. The evolution paths contained within that body part were endless in his eyes, and he had only thoroughly comprehended just over 3,000, which was merely a drop in the ocean. There you go being modest again, Xianxia. Gao Wufeng looked at Lin Yuan with a touch of helplessness. At the same time, he wondered to himself, how many paths? To be able to say this, at the very least, it meant Xianxia had deduced at least 5 or 6 evolution paths, perhaps even close to 10? After chatting casually with Gao Wufeng for a while, Lin Yuan returned to the virtual world of comprehending that body part. The goddess of wisdom actually revealed the second method? Lin Yuan pondered internally. After a brief thought, Lin Yuan understood again, what would it matter even if the method was made public? As long as it wasn't disclosed how many evolution paths need to be comprehended to reach the target, it would be meaningless to let the different species know. Sometimes the goal is vital. If one does not know how many evolution paths they have truly comprehended, those alien strong ones would basically find it impossible to persist. After all, the psychic will pressure from that segment of the body is a form of extreme torture. In a suboptimal state, the speed of enlightenment declines greatly. Lin Yuan stumbled into it by accident, never intending to comprehend the supreme evolution path but merely aiming to temper his spirit will. Moreover, with the boost from against heaven's understanding, he rapidly comprehended 3,333 types and finally condensed the magic jade mark, achieving an enlightenment of everything. Others? They could hardly keep going. Continue to contemplate. Lin Yuan gathered his thoughts and looked up at that segment of the body beneath the sky once more. Even though Lin Yuan was now a regular member of the Magic Jade Tower, where there are regular members, there are core and even higher level members. If he continues to comprehend more evolution paths, could he possibly gain a promotion in his status within the Magic Jade Tower? What's most important is that contemplating the evolution paths within the body is hugely beneficial for Lin Yuan. He could integrate their essence into himself after analysis. And he could also continue to enhance his own spirit will. It was indeed killing 3 birds with 1 stone. Naturally, Lin Yuan was unwilling to give up. Even if not long after Lin Yuan advanced to the 8th layer, he would not give up this place. Just like that, Lin Yuan submerged himself into contemplation once again. 1 day, 2 days. 1 month, 2 months. A year went by in the blink of an eye. Under the endless psychic will pressure, Lin Yuan's will seemed to reach its limit and started to crumble from the outer regions. Hold on. Lin Yuan was still persevering. Unaware of how much time had passed, as if breaking through certain shackles, Lin Yuan's spirit will began to transform. What was once nothing but an illusion now radiated a deep light, as tangible as reality. Phew! Lin Yuan exhaled softly. That moment just now, he nearly couldn't hold on. Fortunately, he hadn't given up in the end. My current spirit will, Lin Yuan sensed that his spirit will had definitely improved greatly compared to before, taking an important step from illusion to reality. Let's see what my current mental will index is. Lin Yuan disconnected from the virtual world and rested in reality for half a day. Then, in the most perfect state, he entered his personal space. Goddess of Wisdom, I request a measurement of my mental will index. Lin Yuan directly connected with the Goddess of Wisdom. Respected 7th level citizen Lin Yuan, without using any physical soul power, just by employing your own spirit consciousness, impact the surroundings. The solemn and cool voice of the Goddess of Wisdom came. Lin Yuan did as instructed, his vast psychic will pressure sweeping through the area. Distortions seemed to occur in the air. A moment later, the voice of the Goddess of Wisdom came again. Respected 7th level citizen Lin Yuan, after testing, your current mental will index is roughly around 11,200. Increased by so much? Lin Yuan's heart was exhilarated. A mental will index of 10,000 was the threshold, determining the successful passage through the heart demon tribulation. Similarly, after reaching 10,000, the difficulty of improving the mental will index spikes significantly. For Lin Yuan to achieve a mental will index over 11,000 is unbelievable. For a 7th rank evolver to raise his mental will index to such a level is unprecedented in the history of human civilization. Mental will index exceeding 10,000. Lin Yuan gathered his thoughts and made a decision. Everything is ready, begin the breakthrough to the 8th layer directly. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 407 The Mental Will Index has reached over 11,000 points. Overcoming the heart demon tribulation can be said to be without much difficulty. However, just to be safe and to prevent extreme scenarios from occurring, Lin Yuan still plans to face the heart demon tribulation in the world traversal. Over the 2 million plus years of Starry Sea era, the great evolutionary scholars of human civilization have conducted detailed research on the heart demon tribulation. Some scholars believe that the heart demon faced during the breakthrough to the 8th layer comes from the outside world and is the aggregation of the negative emotions of the countless living beings. There are also scholars who believe that the so-called heart demon comes from the obsessions of the evolver themselves. As for which one it actually is, there is still no consensus to this day. Lin Yuan chose to face the heart demon in the transversal world with the first situation in mind. The heart demon comes from outside. If it really is like that, and Lin Yuan senses something amiss and feels that he cannot overcome the heart demon tribulation, he can totally rely on the door to the myriad realms to escape back to the main world. Even if the heart demon is strong, it's not possible for it to cross into another dimensional plane to pursue him to the main world. Of course, with Lin Yuan's current mental will index of over 11,000 points, he doesn't believe that this possibility will occur, but one must always leave room for contingencies. Start. Lin Yuan's consciousness sunk into the depths of his mind. He looked towards that majestic and grand door to the myriad realms. The world-breaking origin force accumulated has now reached 7 strands. Lin Yuan checked the amount of world-breaking origin force he had. With the Yin God's continuous assistance at the eternal spatial rift in the different species battlefields, it only took 290 days to accumulate 1 strand of world-breaking origin force. Spending 1 strand of world-breaking origin force for peace of mind is not a loss. Lin Yuan thought to himself. For this traversal, Lin Yuan's main target was to overcome the heart demon tribulation. As for continuing his cultivation, comprehending rules, perfecting the martial path evolutionary path, all of those could wait. Traversal. Lin Yuan directly consumed 1 strand of world-breaking origin force, his will surging into the door to the myriad realms. This old man, all added up, doesn't have much meat on him. Having some is better than none, at least we can stew some soup. Sigh, it has come to this, but the girl I saw today, she sure looked refreshing and delightful. Refreshing? What does that matter? In these times, even the most delightful charm isn't worth a pound of grain. Lin Yuan faintly heard some voices. Although he couldn't understand the language, instinctively, he could comprehend it. His consciousness had just awakened not long ago, and he hadn't fully acclimated yet, so he could only quietly listen to the conversation outside. After more than a dozen breaths, Lin Yuan's consciousness finally stabilized. The Greater Yan Empire? The end of the dynasty, warlords in chaos? The people in dire straits? Lin Yuan quickly absorbed the memories of his original body and understood his circumstances. The level of this world wasn't very high, at least from his original Buddhist memories. Even those powerful beings who could fight against hundreds were extremely rare. The Greater Yan Empire had ruled the world for nearly 500 years, and by now it was thoroughly decayed. With the uprising of various righteous armies, the entire empire was on the brink of collapse. The reason for such a situation was that the common people simply could not survive. Ongoing disasters and the court's taxes, which grew heavier each year. It had already reached the point where people were eating each other. Just like Lin Yuan at this moment, who was treated as meat and even complained about for having too little of it. My body now. Lin Yuan sensed his body and frowned slightly, first noticing the age. The original body was over 60 years old, with severely declined bodily functions, plus a long time in a state of starvation. At this moment, even standing up was somewhat difficult. After contemplating for a while, he remembered from his memories that the original body was a small property owner. However, as chaos reigned and warlords attacked, the original body had been forced to flee with household servants. But shortly after escaping, they encountered a band of refugees. All valuables were robbed, and he barely managed to escape, only to end up here soon after. Lin Yuan rested for a moment and, leveraging his powerful spirit will, managed to stimulate his blood flow and recover somewhat. This plane of existence? Lin Yuan looked around. From the moment his consciousness woke to now, he hadn't felt a single trace of nature's spiritual energy or primordial qi. The age of Dharma decline? Lin Yuan surmised in his heart. Meanwhile, name, Chen Lin Yuan. Identity, holder of the myriad realms gate, bound talent, heaven-defying comprehension, divine power, blood resurrection, current state, consciousness descent, remaining residence time, 30 years. Only 30 years of residence time? So, the world of my residence depends on the level of the world, not on my own realm? Lin Yuan appeared thoughtful. In his previous 6 traversals, Lin Yuan's residence time grew longer with each. leading him to believe that the residence time in the transversal world was related to his own realm. The higher the realm, the longer the residence time. But now, it seems to depend on the level of the world he has traversed into. After all, this current world is probably just a low martial world or even a non-martial world, likely weaker than the world he first traversed into, hence just 30 years of residence time. The traversal performed by consuming a strand of world-breaking origin force is completely random. In the previous 6 times, I was lucky, so each world I traversed into was helpful for my output. But this time, I'm lacking the luck of before, Lin Yuan silently thought. However, the level of the world traversed this time did not impact Lin Yuan's main objective much. In fact, the weaker the traversed world, the happier Lin Yuan was, because if the analysis of those great evolutionary scholars from human civilization was correct, the heart demons of the heart demon tribulation, emerging from the negative emotions of countless living beings, then the heart demons congealed from the negative emotions of countless beings in the main world, would definitely be vastly different from the heart demons of this low-level martial world. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 408 There's simply no comparison. For Lin Yuan to face the heart demon tribulation here was equivalent to lowering the difficulty. Facing the heart demon tribulation has nothing to do with the physical soul. What the heart demon targets is not the physical soul, but the spirit will. As long as one's realm is sufficient, they can induce the descent of the heart demon at any time. There's no need for the physical soul to reach the 7th rank limit simultaneously. Lin Yuan thought to himself. To step into the 8th layer, one's physical soul needs to reach the limit of perfection. However, to transcend the heart demon tribulation, there are no such requirements. It is only necessary for one's realm to meet the standard. Even now, Lin Yuan could invoke the descent of the heart demon. Although the stay here is not long, spanning 30 years, there's no need to rush things. Lin Yuan scanned his surroundings, knowing that his current situation was not good. It would be problematic if while transcending the heart demon tribulation, someone disturbed his body in the outside world. Old man, what are you standing up for? Do you really think you could escape? Where could you possibly flee to? Just as Lin Yuan was adjusting his qi and blood, standing up to move his body, 2 burly men nearby also looked over at him. They were draped with butchering tools and surveyed Lin Yuan with ill intentions, as if looking at a sheep or pig to be slaughtered. Roll! Lin Yuan gave the 2 men a glance. Without using any power. Indeed, he couldn't use any power at the moment since Lin Yuan had only just regained consciousness. He could only employ methods associated with spirit will. The moment the 2 burly men were glanced at by Lin Yuan, they felt as if the world had collapsed, their spirit as if crushed dozens of times over, resulting in a collapse of will, causing them to fall to the ground, convulsing uncontrollably. Their bodies were still alive, but their spirit will had collapsed. This was the advantage of having strong spirit will. A mere look could completely crush the opponent. Of course, the reason was also that the 2 burly men were too weak. If they were 6th or 7th rank evolvers, even if their spirit will was far inferior to Lin Yuan's, they would not have been so frail, protected by the physical soul. Let's go! Lin Yuan walked out unobstructed and leisurely. Along the way, some people attempted to stop him, but they all fell apart under Lin Yuan's gaze. Feebnal. C Sigma M with his current strength of spirit will, even if he were surrounded by millions of troops, he would still be able to stroll out leisurely. This was still when the physical body was fragile, greatly limiting the expression of Lin Yuan's spirit will. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, 10 years had gone by. During these 10 years, Lin Yuan chose not to immediately undergo the heart demon tribulation, instead journeying across the world, observing all living beings as a bystander. The Greater Yan dynasty had been overrun by rebel armies in the 4th year after Lin Yuan's arrival, leading to its complete downfall. At this point, the world was in utter chaos, with various warlords taking turns on the stage. Eventually, a rising warlord waving the Great Chu flag campaigned from the south to the north. After 6 years, he put an end to the age of turmoil and established the Great Chu Empire. In a sunny valley, a dignified middle-aged man stood respectfully outside. He seemed to be waiting for something. If an outsider were present, they would realize that this middle-aged man was none other than the founder and emperor of the Great Chu Empire, the most revered person in the world. Yet now, the founder of the empire stood outside the valley with utmost respect, not daring any transgression. Then, a boy came out from the valley. "Immortal Master, are you willing to see me?" the middle-aged man immediately asked in a low voice upon seeing the boy. "You may leave. The master has said that there is no significant kindness between you two. It is not something you should mind," the boy said solemnly. No significant kindness. The middle-aged man's face fell, lost in thought. If it weren't for the Immortal Master's intervention, he would have perished at the hands of the rebel armies long ago and would never have established such an empire. Although he had only followed the Immortal Master for a few years, the middle-aged man was acutely aware that the Immortal Master was a genuine immortal being, and ordinary matters never caught his attention. Even his position as Emperor of the Great Chu Empire was merely a result of being casually nurtured by the Immortal Master. "Yes." The middle-aged man took a deep breath and said softly, "Please tell the Immortal Master that I will ensure Great Chu offers daily sacrifices to the Immortal Master's tablet." Inside the valley, Lin Yuan glanced at the departing middle-aged man but didn't care much about him. He was not from this world. All his actions were simply carried out as he saw fit. As the greater Yen perished and the world descended into chaos, Lin Yuan grew tired of it. Thus, he cultivated an emperor to stabilize the world, making it more pleasant to watch. Just that and nothing more. My spirit will index should be over 12,000 now, shouldn't it? Lin Yuan thought to himself. In the past 10 years, he had traveled the world, contemplative, and his spirit will had thus been enhanced. It's just that here, I can't feel the demon jade space? A sudden thought crossed Lin Yuan's mind. The moment Lin Yuan's consciousness descended and his memories synchronized, understanding the 3,333 evolutionary paths of the Tao, the magic jade mark naturally formed. In the main world, the instant the magic jade mark formed, Lin Yuan could feel that vast and mysterious expanse of the demon jade space. But here, he gained nothing. From this, it could be deduced that even the Moyu Tower Master was far inferior to the door to the myriad realms. Even the casual traversing of the door exceeded the perceptual limits of the demonic Jade Tower Master. Time passed by. In the blink of an eye, another 15 years had gone by. In these 15 years, the Great Chu Empire had entered a period of prosperity, with a significant increase in population. The founding emperor of Great Chu was praised by all the people. The founding emperor of Great Chu openly stated that everything he was doing now came from the guidance of the Immortal Master. Without the Immortal Master, there would be no him, and there would be no Great Chu Empire as it was now. The entire empire from top to bottom worshipped the Immortal Master's tablet day and night. Atop a mountain peak, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. Unfortunately, this world is too weak. It's not even necessary to spread the martial path evolutionary path. Lin Yuan thought to himself. With the suppression of an age of Dharma decline in this world, even if Lin Yuan spread the martial path evolutionary path, future martial Dao cultivators could at most only cultivate to the innate realm, equivalent to not even entering a rank. They simply could not touch upon the core essence of the martial path evolutionary path, thereby failing to offer any benefits to Lin Yuan. Of course, Lin Yuan had not given up on this world. In these 25 years, he wandered all over, etching the martial path evolutionary path onto special metals and spreading them to all corners of the world. One day, if this world should release its suppression, ending the age of Dharma decline, the martial path evolutionary path would undoubtedly be the first to rise. It is time to face the heart demon tribulation. Lin Yuan made up his mind, though there were still 5 years left in his stay. But the past 25 years had already pushed the training of Lin Yuan's spirit will to its limits. Delaying further had lost its meaning. With this thought, Lin Yuan began to actively invite the heart demon. The heart demon tribulation descended. In a daze, Lin Yuan opened his eyes once more. He found himself inside a room. What is this? Before Lin Yuan could take a closer look, his mother Lu Qiong entered. Xiaoyuan, I've already asked your uncle, and he said he can remove your name from the mandatory conscription list. Lu Qiong said with apparent delight. Mandatory conscription list? Lin Yuan looked somewhat astonished, vaguely feeling that there was something wrong with this statement. Who would dare to forcefully conscript him? Yes, your uncle also said he found you a job in the government. Go see your uncle tomorrow, he will arrange everything. Xiaoyuan, your uncle is our family's benefactor, you must be polite when the time comes. Lu Qiong kept reminding him at the side. Once Xiaoyuan has a stable job, it'll be time to find a girlfriend. After you get married, to have children early, your father and I can help look after them. Those robots simply don't know how to care for children, it'd be better for us to do it. Lu Qiong began thinking about the future. Get married? Have children? In Lin Yuan's eyes, a starry sea vortex faintly surfaced. My journey is the vast starry sea. How could I be confined to a common planet? Lin Yuan stretched lazily, stood up, and laughed heartily. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 409. At this very moment, a vast spirit will coalesce within Lin Yuan, making him feel as if everything he saw was like an illusory bubble, easily popped with a touch. In the instant Lin Yuan regained consciousness, his awareness began to sink once again. By the time Lin Yuan opened his eyes again, he had already arrived in the cosmic starry skies. The powerful aura of different species chased after him. Lin Yuan was clearly being hunted down. No matter if you are a peerless genius of human civilization, you will still die. The different species chasing behind him laughed maniacally. I am being chased? Lin Yuan frowned and subconsciously thought to continue fleeing for his life. The next moment, the vast spirit will once again coalesce inside him. This allowed Lin Yuan to instantly understand his situation. Just a heart demon. Lin Yuan stopped his escape as the illusionary realm around him began to collapse again. The essence of the heart demon tribulation is the heart demon itself. Evolvers, when facing the heart demon tribulation, will experience scenes they least wish to encounter, or ones they are most willing to encounter. For example, Lin Yuan was most concerned about being killed by the different species before he could grow. Normally, if one spirit will is not up to standard, they would easily get lost in the layers upon layers of illusion, meaning a failure in transcending the heart demon tribulation. But a strong spirit can allow an evolver to quickly wake up, or make the evolver realize that everything around them is an illusion, all fabricated. If they do, the probability of surpassing the heart demon tribulation greatly increases. Freewebnov. Calm in the blink of an eye, Lin Yuan shattered hundreds of heart demon illusions. With a change of scene, an insect race hive, rivaling a galaxy in size, appeared in the distance. 7th rank, 8th layer, and even 9th rank insect race warriors created by the hive charged out one after another. Is this an insect queen? A shock went through Lin Yuan's heart. The insect queen corresponded to a supreme being of human civilization. An insect queen could endlessly produce a vast number of 7th, 8th, and 9th rank insect race warriors. These insect race warriors, one-on-one, are definitely not a match for evolvers of the same rank. But they are endless in number, and the mere sight of millions of ordinary 8th layer insect race warriors would make even the Chikuan Star Lord's scalp tingle. It's precisely for this reason that in the war between human civilization and the insect race, there is no advantage, rather a disadvantage, in the mid to low end battles. Only at the level of supreme beings is the fight dominated by the human side, as the insect queens are suppressed by the supreme beings. This is because the insect queens are incapable of creating supreme being level warriors. The insect queen taking action against me personally is too far-fetched. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. Even without a powerful spirit will, he felt the scene before him was somewhat absurd. The matriarchs were beings that could stand up to supreme beings. Even the evolvers, peerless geniuses of an era among humans, were not worth the effort of a matriarch's direct intervention, given their status and position. Boom. As the massive spirit will gathered, Lin Yuan once again crushed this layer of heart demon illusion. At the summit of a towering and majestic evolution tower, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged, his aura now as deep as the cosmic starry sky, and wherever his gaze landed, it was within the boundaries of his own territory. Great Supreme Being, under your leadership, human civilization has become an unprecedented force in the cosmic starry sky, and clans like the insect race have submitted one after another, said an elder below, his voice filled with deep worship. Becoming a supreme being, leading human civilization to its peak, is something every human evolver desires to accomplish. At this moment, Lin Yuan was enduring the worship of countless humans, looking down from on high, like a deity. Too bad, it's all fake, Lin Yuan sighed. The scenes in all directions began to collapse, taking with them the invincible power that filled Lin Yuan's body as well. Atop a high mountain, Lin Yuan silently opened his eyes. The heart demon tribulation has ended. Lin Yuan's gaze was profound, as if he had broken through some kind of shackles, and his spiritual realm suddenly began to sublimate. My current realm has reached the 8th layer. There are 3 prerequisites to becoming an 8th layer evolver. One is the heart demon tribulation, the second is the inner world, and the third is the physical soul reaching the pinnacle of perfection. Without transcending the heart demon tribulation, one will always be just a 7th layer at its pinnacle. Even if both the inner world and physical soul meet the requirements, it is useless. Because the realm cannot be elevated. Only after passing through the heart demon tribulation is it possible to ascend smoothly to the 8th layer in terms of realm. After that, if the inner world is opened and the physical soul reaches perfection, one can formally step into the 8th layer. End the traversal. Lin Yuan glanced at the remaining residence time. 5 years were left. The countless layers of heart demon illusions Lin Yuan experienced in the heart demon tribulation were but an instant in reality. As for the remaining 5 years of traversing worlds, there was no need to spend them here. The most important thing for Lin Yuan now was to fully step into the 8th layer. On the Qikuan main star, Lin Yuan opened his eyes. A large amount of red spirit fluid appeared in front of him. Years ago, Lin Yuan began preparing for his ascent to the 8th layer, and of course, he hadn't forgotten the red spirit fluid. Breakthrough. Lin Yuan closed his eyes. Boom. First came the expansion of the inner world, which began to expand wildly once more. The inner world, originally 13,000 li in radius, suddenly surged to a radius of 25,000 li. The explosive expansion of the inner world didn't cause much commotion. Previously, when Lin Yuan expanded his inner world from 10 plus li to a radius of 12,000 li, a 10,000-fold increase, Lin Yuan could not control it perfectly, so he asked the Qikuan Star Lord for help in concealing it. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 4:10 But now, expanding from a radius of 13,000 miles to 25,000 miles, although the increase surpassed the former, the base was much stronger. Lin Yuan was fully capable of containing it himself. The Crimson Palace. Qikuan Star Lord was instructing the Great Peak Master. On the verge of advancing to the 8th layer, the Great Peak Master was about to oversee the star domain. As his teacher, Qikuan Star Lord would naturally bestow upon him some trumps for later use. Teacher, rest assured I will be cautious, he said. The Great Peak Master nodded, knowing that Qikuan Star Lord was looking after him. I wonder, among my disciples, who will be the next to break through to the 8th layer? Qikuan Star Lord sighed with a hint of emotion. The second disciple? The third disciple? Or the junior disciple? The Great Peak Master ventured a guess. Among the students of the Qikuan Star Lord, only these 3 were at the 7th rank. Who do you think it will be? Qikuan Star Lord asked with interest. In terms of talent, the junior disciple is definitely the strongest. However, to step into the 8th layer, spirit will is very important, requiring the accumulation of many years. The second disciple has almost accumulated enough. Once he advances to the king level, he should be able to attempt to open his inner world and then surge to the 8th layer. The great peak master analyzed calmly. It wasn't that he underestimated the junior disciple, but the enhancement of the spirit will index indeed required a lot of time. How old was the junior disciple? Not even 100 years old yet. What you say makes sense. Upon hearing this, Qikuan's Star Lord contemplated for a while and then nodded in agreement. Only, Qikuan's Star Lord had yet to finish speaking. He seemed to sense something. He looked in a certain direction, full of astonishment. Has someone broken through to the 8th layer? The great peak master also sensed it and looked towards the source of the breakthrough. Although Lin Yuan could conceal the disturbances caused by the expansion of his inner world, the breakthrough from the 7th rank to the 8th rank itself, involving fluctuations of the origin rule, could not be concealed. The junior disciple? The great peak master widened his eyes. The source of the breakthrough was at the 13 peaks. Currently, on the 13 peaks, only the junior disciple had the capacity to break through to the 8th layer. As for those 7th rank guards? If these guards were about to break through to the 8th layer, they would definitely report to the Star Lord in advance. Damn! The big brother gaped, having only just analyzed with his teacher who the next ordinary 8th rank disciple would be, and now the junior disciple had immediately broken through to the 8th layer? That wasn't the point. The point was, how old was the junior disciple? He got to the 7th rank not long ago, and now the 8th? This disciple of mine, Qikuan's Star Lord, was also lost in a whirl of thoughts. The great peak master thought the next to enter the 8th layer would be the second peak master, but he didn't agree. Compared to the great peak master, Qikuan's Star Lord was aware of Lin Yuan's cultivation progress and his nearly 8th layer peak inner world. With such a vast inner world, Lin Yuan's physical soul and mental will would strengthen slowly until close to the peak of the 8th layer. Here, the 8th layer peak referred to the peak of the physical soul, though the realm would still be at the 7th rank. But in Qikuan's Star Lord's view, even if Lin Yuan were to enter the 8th layer, it was a matter for decades or even centuries later. And now he had just achieved that? Meanwhile, the stir caused by Lin Yuan's breakthrough to the 8th layer was massive and began to affect the entire Qikuan main star. Not long ago, when Big Brother broke through to the 8th layer, Lin Yuan sensed it from a great distance, as from the 7th to the 8th layer would cause a fluctuation of the origin rule, making it difficult to conceal. Almost instantly, numerous 6th rank and 7th rank evolvers on Qikuan main star were stirred up. Has another peak master become an 8th layer? The great peak master became the 8th layer not long ago, and now another peak master follows closely behind? Our Qikuan star domain, indeed, has been producing mighty figures recently. The countless evolvers on the Qikuan main star were all somewhat dumbfounded. That's odd. I met with the 2nd and 3rd peak masters not long ago. They were going out on a trip soon and should not be on Qikuan main star right now. Which means, among the peak masters present on the main star right now, only the 13 peak master is at the 7th rank? Could it be that the 13 peak master has broken through to the 8th layer? This guess left all evolvers somewhat bewildered. Any rational evolver could understand. The 13 peak master had only just announced stepping into the 7th rank. How could he possibly reach the 8th so swiftly? Do you really think cultivating is as easy as eating and drinking? Currently, only the peak master of Xianxia is on the main star with conditions favorable for a breakthrough to the 8th layer, as the 2nd and the 3rd peak masters are not present. Perhaps those 7th rank king level guards also have the conditions to break through to the 8th layer, but if a king level guard were to break through, they would be sent by the Star Lord to a specialized breakthrough planet, certainly not on the main star. After considering all possibilities, only the peak master of Xianxia meets the criteria. I have already contacted the 2nd and 3rd peak masters, and they are indeed not on the main star right now, said a 7th rank king level evolver. Upon these words being spoken, immediately, turmoil erupted. Because this meant that the evolver currently transitioning to the 8th layer could only be the peak master of Xianxia. If not the peak master of Xianxia, could it be those who are merely 6th layer peak masters? The breakthrough is progressing smoothly. He has now completely entered the 8th layer. The 7th rank evolvers carefully sensed that the breakthrough from the 7th to the 8th layer could face several potential difficulties, such as not overcoming the heart demon tribulation or not opening up an inner world. Any of these potential failures would cause the signs of a breakthrough to abruptly stop. But now, the breakthrough aura they sensed was incredibly smooth, flowing like a stream without any pauses. If it truly is the peak master of Xianxia stepping into the 8th layer, then his potential is terrifying, they said. In the future, even if he cannot break through to the 9th rank, he will at least be as invincible in the 8th as the Star Lord. Even less experienced 7th rank evolvers could see that the future lower limit for the peak master of Xianxia was to be invincible in the 8th layer like the Qikuan Star Lord. As for the upper limit, that was unclear. It might be the 9th or even the 10th rank. While countless evolvers on the main star were discussing and speculating, the news about yet another 8th rank evolver emerging from the Qikuan lineage began to spread like a hurricane in all directions. Especially since this newly advanced 8th rank evolver was likely the youngest peak master of Xianxia, it incited almost frenzied intense discussions. Wanyang Star Domain. On the surface of a permanent star, a black-haired elder appeared. "Your Highness, Your Highness." The black-haired elder began to call out. Almost 10 years ago, the Wanyang Holy Sun had made up his mind, risking his life to train inside the core of a permanent star. Because only by doing so could he fully leverage his innate potential to advance to the 7th rank as quickly as possible and catch up with the peak master of Xianxia from the Qikuan lineage. How proud was the Wanyang Holy Sun? Suffering successive setbacks from the peak master of Xianxia, his heart was nearly overflowing with dejection. At the call of the black-haired elder, a fiery red crystal stone flew out from deep within the star. The crystal stone hovered before the black-haired elder, beginning to melt, and the Wanyang Holy Sun stepped out from it. "What exactly is it?" he asked. "Didn't I say not to disturb me unless it was a matter of utmost importance?" The Wanyang Holy Sun frowned deeply. He had planned to continue his seclusion for 200 years. Yet now, less than 10 years in, he was called out, which greatly displeased him. "Your Highness, this is very good news, tremendously good news," the black-haired elder said with a smile, quickly mentioning the incident involving a part of a supreme being's body from outside the main world. A body of a supreme being? Available for us to comprehend, and as long as we understand the supreme evolution path, we have a chance to become a supreme being? The Wanyang Holy Sun's eyes burnt with a flickering flame. If this were true, then comprehending that part of the body would be better than secluding himself within the star. A body of a supreme being, I do not expect to understand the supreme evolution path, but just understanding 1 in a billionth of its mysteries should help me ascend to the 7th rank, he said. The Wanyang Holy Sun's heart was ablaze. According to his estimate, staying secluded within the star and facing near-death experiences would allow him to foreseeably reach the 7th rank in 200 years. However, by studying the body of a supreme being, perhaps he could reach the 7th rank in just 100 years. In only 100 years, how far could the peak master of Xianxia advance at the 7th layer? He would have more hope of catching up. By then, the Wanyang Holy Sun was excited, knowing that once he reached the 7th rank, being in the same great realm as the peak master of Xianxia and relying on his 9-yang divine meridian physique, he guessed he wouldn't be too far behind. Just as the Wanyang Holy Sun was filled with hope and about to eagerly apply to study that part of the body, the black-haired elder's expression subtly changed. His consciousness was continuously connected to the virtual world, ensuring he could be aware of any latest information. "Your Highness," the black-haired elder delicately glanced at the ambitious Wanyang Holy Sun and whispered, "There's some bad news." "Bad news?" The Wanyang Holy Sun glanced at the black-haired elder, indifferently asking, "What bad news?" "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 411. If you have something to say, just say it. Seeing the black-haired elder hem and haw, Wanyang Holy Sun did not blame him. Now that he saw hope in catching up with the 13 Peaks Peak Master, comprehending a part of a supreme being's body would definitely stir his emotions. Then, with the support of his own 9-yang divine meridian, stepping into the 7th rank within a century was no joke. As for the 8th layer that came after the 7th rank, Wanyang Holy Sun had yet to consider it, as the 8th layer was still too far away for him. Mental will index, inner world, flesh soul perfection, etc., none was yet fulfilled. Currently, Wanyang Holy Sun's gaze was entirely focused on the 7th rank. As long as he could step into the 7th rank, he would have narrowed the gap with the 13 Peaks Peak Master. Rest assured, there's no bad news right now that can shake my spirit. Seeing the black-haired elder still hesitating, Wanyang Holy Sun spoke calmly. With newfound hope, Wanyang Holy Sun felt his spirit had also improved. The so-called living through long years and tempering one's spirit is essentially experiencing great ups and downs. Life and death crises are the same. Upon hearing that the 13 Peaks Peak Master had stepped into the 7th rank, Wanyang Holy Sun once fell into despair and even risked his life to cultivate in seclusion within a star. This was the fall. And now, having learned that there was a supreme being's body to comprehend, the possibility of catching up with the 13 Peaks Peak Master in the future was the rise. Great falls and great rises are just that. It's bad news related to the 13 Peaks Peak Master, the black-haired elder said tentatively, knowing how much Wanyang Holy Sun longed to catch up with the 13 Peaks Peak Master. But the news he had just received, to Wanyang Holy Sun, was perhaps too cruel. The 13 Peaks Peak Master? Wanyang Holy Sun's expression became slightly more solemn. Bad news related to the 13 Peaks Peak Master? Could it be that the adversary has already stepped into the peak of the 7th rank king level? That really isn't good news. In such a short time, to progress from the early stage of the 7th rank to the king level peak, befitting of the 13 Peaks Peak Master he was chasing after. At this rate, 100 years later, wouldn't the 13 Peaks Peak Master have the hope to step into the 7th rank marquee level? By then, even if everything goes smoothly for him, he would only be at the beginning of the 7th rank. The gap between him and the 13 Peaks Peak Master would still be considerable. At the thought, Wanyang Holy Sun couldn't help feeling the pressure. I've received a message. The 13 Peaks Peak Master, he seems to have stepped into the 8th layer. The black-haired elder mustered up his courage to convey the news he had just received. Even if he didn't mention it, as long as Wanyang Holy Sun connected to the virtual network, he would still find out. The 13 Peaks Peak Master stepped into the 8th layer. What did you say? Stepped into which layer? Wanyang Holy Sun, still mulling over how he was going to advance swiftly towards the 7th rank marquee level 100 years later, almost thought he was hallucinating when he heard the black-haired elder's words. The 8th layer? The 13 Peaks Peak Master stepped into the 8th layer? Wanyang Holy Sun's mind was muddled. It wasn't until the black-haired elder repeated himself several times that Wanyang Holy Sun barely recovered. Where did this news come from? Enjoy new adventures from Empire. Wanyang Holy Sun's first reaction was disbelief. The transition from 7th to 8th rank is a major bottleneck. If the 13 Peaks Peak Master had already been at the 7th rank king level peak before he entered seclusion, it would be normal now to have broken through to the 8th layer. But it's well known that the 13 Peaks Peak Master just stepped into the 7th rank not long ago. To cross these three great thresholds, spirit, will, inner world, flesh, soul, perfection, in such a short time? Is this still human? Is this still human? Your Highness, this news was transmitted from the Chikuan main star. A fluctuation of aura that signals a breakthrough from the 7th rank to the 8th layer was detected on the central continent of the main star, and only the 13 Peaks Peak Master fits the conditions for this breakthrough from the 7th rank to the 8th layer. The black-haired elder spoke truthfully. In that case, could it be a mistaken transmission? Wanyang Holy Sun immediately asked. He truly did not want to believe that the 13 Peaks Peak Master had already stepped into the 8th layer. That made his previous life-risking seclusion seem laughably foolish. Still chasing the 13 Peaks Peak Master? With what will he chase him? There is indeed a possibility of a mistaken transmission. The black-haired elder thought for a moment and then nodded. Your Highness, if the 13 Peaks Peak Master has truly broken through to the 8th layer, the Red Kuan lineage will soon issue a public announcement, and by then everything will be clear, he said. Then let's wait. Wanyang Holy Sun fell silent for a while and then spoke. Okay. We wait. The black-haired elder nodded. Chikuan Main Star. 13 Peaks. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. At this moment his aura was incredibly profound, like a celestial body, beginning to influence the surroundings. An evolver at the 8th layer, whose physical soul had undergone ultimate metamorphosis and with an inner world unfolded. If one didn't contain their aura, indeed, there was little difference between them and the cosmic celestial bodies. Is this the 8th layer? Lin Yuan carefully felt the brand new power within him. Although at the 7th rank, with his vast inner world, Lin Yuan could crush most of those at the 8th layer, that was merely suppression of power, but the subtleties of the realm Lin Yuan was now experiencing. The greatest trump card of an 8th layer evolver is the inner world, but that's not to say that 8th layer evolvers possess only inner world techniques. The cultivation at the 8th layer mainly divides into 4 stages: the early stage, the middle stage, the late stage, and the peak stage. Lin Yuan clearly knew how the road ahead should be traversed. In fact, the 8th layer has a 5th stage. That is the invincible state of the 8th layer. Essentially, the invincibly at the 8th layer still belongs to the 4th stage. The invincible evolvers at the 8th layer, such as the Chikuan Star Lord, Golden Dragon Star Master, Wanyang Star Lord, and others, have mastered some form of power that transcends the 8th layer. With this power, the invincible ones can crush all 8th layer evolvers. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 4:12. Of course, among the invincibles of the 8th layer, there were subtle differences in strength, but in a one-on-one, one side could hardly defeat the other. This was also the reason why such beings were known as the 8th layer invincibles. Unless a 9th rank intervened, the 8th layer invincibles stood on an undefeated ground. Even facing a group of 8th layer invincibles attacking together, they could easily retreat unscathed. Teacher, as an 8th layer invincible, possesses a power that transcends the 8th layer, which must be related to the Starry Sky Wanderer Kuan, Lin Yuan thought to himself. Every 8th layer invincible was unique, unable to master completely identical powers. Lin Yuan slightly felt the changes within himself, then stood up and walked out of the Grand Hall. Outside the Grand Hall, Chikuan Star Lord and the Great Peak Master had been waiting for a long time. At the moment of Lin Yuan's breakthrough, Chikuan Star Lord was the first to know, followed by the Great Peak Master. My dear disciple, have you just stepped into the 8th layer? Chikuan Star Lord carefully sized up Lin Yuan and shook his head slightly, saying, When I entered the 8th layer, think about how many years it took me? 8,000 years? Or 10,000 years? As a peak lineage with a special life essence inherently possessing an inner world, Chikuan Star Lord's advancement to the 8th layer was far easier than it was for human evolvers. Teacher, I've been at the 7th rank for nearly 100,000 years. Compared to the junior brother, I feel like I've lived these years in vain. The Great Peak Master said with a slight grievance. He had long understood that comparing himself to a monster like his junior brother was simply asking for trouble. But seeing how easily his junior brother entered the 8th layer, the great senior brother couldn't help but feel bitter inside. However, that's what the Great Peak Master said, but he still felt fortunate inside that he had stepped into the 8th layer a step earlier. Otherwise, wouldn't he have been surpassed by his junior brother? Teacher, senior brother. Lin Yuan looked toward Chikuan Star Lord and the Great Peak Master, smiling. Junior brother, how do you feel now? The Great Peak Master asked. Very special. Lin Yuan squinted and sensed. How about I and the senior brother collide with the force of the world? This will make you more familiar with the power of the 8th layer level. The senior brother said eagerly. When he just stepped into the 8th layer, Chikuan Star Lord had used the power of his inner world to leave him an extremely deep impression. Although owning the power of one's own world was indeed very helpful, the experience, was exceptionally memorable. A collision using the force of the world. Chikuin Star Lord glanced at the Great Peak Master but said nothing. Sure, Iwab novel. Calm Lin Yuan nodded. Speaking of it, he had established his inner world at the peak of the 6th rank, on the verge of breaking into the 7th rank, but he had yet to exchange blows with other 8th layer evolvers. Now with his senior brother taking the initiative to spar, Lin Yuan naturally wouldn't refuse. Junior brother, you should be careful, although I also stepped into the 8th layer not long ago. After all, I have been familiar with it for some time, the senior brother reminded, understanding that perhaps this was his last chance to be on equal footing with his junior. After some time, with the junior brother's talent and capability, he would surely be left far behind. Rumble rumble. The Great Peak Master stirred slightly, the invisible force of the world enveloping around, the terrifying world force, even when suppressed and converged, could easily crush 6th and 7th rank evolvers. Ha! As the Great Peak Master stirred the power of his world, covering Lin Yuan, he felt as though he was covering a black hole. Rumble rumble. A force far surpassing the Great Peak Master's world strength erupted centered around Lin Yuan, spreading in all directions. Me! The Great Peak Master's face changed. He felt this power limitless. His own world power was completely overwhelmed. The two weren't even on the same level. Stop, stop, stop. The Great Peak Master quickly shouted. This kind of world power? The Great Peak Master could hardly believe it. He recognized that the force crushing his world power was also the power of the world, but much stronger than his. Even though it didn't have the pressure brought by Chikuin Star Lord, it was far superior to other 8th layer evolvers. Junior brother, just how profound is your inner world? His senior brother swallowed, knowing that the strength of the world power depended on the foundation of the inner world. Lin Yuan's world power being much stronger than his only demonstrated that his own inner world was far inferior. But wasn't Lin Yuan a recent breakthrough? The Great Peak Master was puzzled for a moment. It can only be attributed to being the junior apprentice brother indeed. Alright, your junior apprentice brother has already held back with all his might, the Chikuin Star Lord said, shaking his head. Having not yet stepped into the 8th layer, Lin Yuan's inner world spanned more than 100,000 miles. Now it has at least doubled. Competing with a Great Peak Master, whose inner world was less than 200 miles, if Lin Yuan had not held back, the latter would have been suppressed instantly. Held back with all his might? Is there such a thing as holding back with all one's might? Great Peak Master muttered in his heart, but knowing the teacher would not deceive him, realized that even though his own junior brother had just advanced to the 8th layer, his strength had already surpassed his own. Alright, my good disciple, for now familiarize yourself with the realm of the 8th layer, and we will discuss the rest later, the Chikuin Star Lord advised. Also, I will have someone announce your advancement to the 8th layer, the Chikuin Star Lord stated. Mainly those old friends, who kept sending messages to confirm whether it was indeed Shirsan, the Peak Master, who had advanced to the 8th layer. Thank you, teacher, Lin Yuan said, nodding. The news of Lin Yuan stepping into the 8th layer was quickly confirmed through an announcement released by the Red Kuan lineage. Mainly because there was no need to hide it anymore. As one of the strongest among the Peak clans, human civilization possessed the Resurrection card. When advancing from the 5th to the 6th rank, the life essence isn't strong enough, hence the need for secrecy arises, since even the most talented 5th rank evolvers do not meet the resurrection criteria. If they died, they truly died. But for the 8th layer, not to mention the enormous cost a different species would need to pay to assassinate an 8th layer member, since most human civilizations' 8th layer evolvers possess the doppelganger skill. Even if the assassination were successful, a supreme being would resurrect them. Resurrecting an 8th layer individual is not a significant drain for a supreme being. Of course, for supreme beings, even the smallest drain is considered significant by lower evolvers. Those talented individuals from strong clans need to be cautious because their clans do not have supreme beings. If they need resurrection, they must seek help from Peak clans. Whether or not the supreme being from a Peak clan is willing to resurrect someone is another matter altogether. The Red Kuan lineage has issued the announcement. It is indeed the Shirsan Peak Master who advanced to the 8th layer, My God, how old is San Peak Master to be at the 8th layer already? When I was as old as San Peak Master, I was still playing at the 1st or 2nd layer. Star alliances were shaken, and while some had doubted the possibility of some mix-up, without the Red Kun lineage's announcement, it couldn't be certain that it was San Peak Master who had advanced. But now, it's pretty much confirmed. Wanyang Star Domain. The Wanyang Holy Sun was closely monitoring the activities of the Red Kun lineage. Almost immediately upon the release of the announcement, he was informed. Is it truly San Peak Master who has stepped into the 8th layer? The Wanyang Holy Sun thought to himself silently. In fact, during the waiting period he had almost accepted it. Seeing the announcement merely brought relief. Your Highness, are you all right? The dark-haired elder asked with a tone of concern. Even he was incredulous when he learned that San Peak Master had advanced to the 8th layer. Continue reading stories on Empire, let alone Wanyang Holy Sun, who had set San Peak Master as his target. Your Highness, you really don't need to chase after San Peak Master. Sometimes these prodigies are unreasonable. The dark-haired elder tried to comfort his lord. I understand, Wanyang Holy Sun sighed. If San Peak Master were still at the 7th rank, even at 7th rank king level, Wanyang Holy Sun would feel immense pressure, but now that San Peak Master had stepped into the 8th layer, Wanyang Holy Sun suddenly felt the burden lift off his shoulders because from now on, there was no point in even trying to catch up to San. Because he could not catch up. Chikuan Main Star. At the first mountain peak, new member Feng Yu, looking at the announcement from the Red Kun lineage, fell silent. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 413. Feng Yu sat quietly, reading the announcement over and over again. The Peak Master of San has stepped into the 8th layer. Feng Yu's mind kept flashing with this information, and his heart felt increasingly suffocated. Thinking back to when he had refused the invitation of the Peak Master of San, Feng Yu faintly felt a certain choking sensation. If the Peak Master of San had never invited him to join the 13 peaks, Feng Yu would not have this feeling. Of so many challengers, only 2 had caught the eye of the Peak Master in the end. But he had clearly been one of the chosen by the Peak Master of San too. If he had not refused at that time, then now he would probably also be a disciple of the Peak Master of San. My choice at that time, given the situation then, was not wrong. Feng Yu steadied his spirit, and his mind began to replay incessantly. During the test in 7-Star Cave, the Peak Master of San was only at 7th rank, while the Great Peak Master was already at 8th layer. Even if the Peak Master of San held the hope of stepping into the 8th layer, it was just that hope. To abandon a vague hope and choose the more practical Great Peak Master was not a mistake. Who would have thought that the Peak Master of San would step into the 8th layer so quickly? Feng Yu sighed. It wasn't just him. Across the entire Chikuan Star Domain, the entire Annan Star Alliance, who would have thought the Peak Master of San could have broken through so quickly? No, that's not right. I should have been able to foresee this. Didn't Emoli foresee it? Feng Yu muttered to himself. Emoli is a churd, and I still remember the look of surprise on his face when he learned I had chosen the Great Peak Master over the Peak Master of San. Emoli knew right from the start that the Peak Master of San had boundless potential. Feng Yu looked up at the sky. But Emoli came from a 7th rank force. Even if he made the wrong choice, it wouldn't have much of an impact. I couldn't be sure. My clan needed me to make the most advantageous choice as quickly as possible. And at that time, the best choice for me was the Great Peak Master. Feng Yu shook his head. Alas, there is no such opportunity anymore. Feng Yu's mood fell. He understood that he had missed the most important opportunity of his life. That was to join under the banner of the Peak Master of San. Even Feng Yu realized that the Peak Master of San being able to step into the 8th layer before the age of 100 suggested that his future achievements could indeed be said to be boundless. The 13 peaks. Emoli and Wulan were utterly baffled. The Peak Master has stepped into the 8th layer? Freeweb novel. So quickly? Li blinked his eyes. Originally, he felt extremely excited to have joined under the banner of the Peak Master of Xianxia. He had placed his hopes on the Peak Master of Xianxia eventually stepping into the 8th layer, and by clinging to this powerful support, he would benefit endlessly. But who could have expected that this day would come so swiftly? 8th layer? Wulan held her tongue, hesitating. She simply felt that it was amazing for their Peak Master to step into the 8th layer, not quite understanding what it meant, nor foreseeing how the situation in the surrounding star domains and even the Star Alliance would change because of Lin Yuan. She was only at 3rd rank and lacked any significant background. The fact that she could become a disciple of the Peak Master of Xianxia was entirely due to luck. Of course, it wasn't entirely due to luck. Being able to achieve a top 10 ranking in the planet's tournament also played a part in her strength. Fools have their own kind of fortune. Li glanced at Wulan. He went to great lengths to perform at his best during the test in 7-Star Cave, all for the purpose of becoming a disciple of the Peak Master of Xianxia. But Wulan, just an ordinary silver pattern person, was also chosen by the Peak Master of Xianxia, achieving the result he had struggled so hard to attain. Li couldn't help but feel that sometimes luck is also a crucial factor. At least for Wulan, becoming a disciple under the banner of the Peak Master of Xianxia would undoubtedly secure her a not-so-low status in the future. Deep inside the Great Hall, Lin Yuan was sensing the changes within himself. The inner world has become more perfect, he noted. Lin Yuan's consciousness appeared within his inner world. When he had merged with 3 cosmic rare treasures previously, the inner world had already become largely perfected. But with Lin Yuan stepping into the 8th layer, the inner world not only expanded to cover an area of 250,000 li in radius but also seemed to have grown to maturity. Origin source. Lin Yuan observed carefully. In the Tianqing world, Lin Yuan, replacing the heart of heaven with his own, took the place of the world consciousness, becoming an existence akin to the heavenly Tao. But compared to this moment, there was a qualitative difference. Lin Yuan had controlled the Tianqing world with emphasis on control, but now, facing his inner world, Lin Yuan was able to merge with it completely. Primordial Spirit. A thought from Lin Yuan. The Taiyang Divine Spirit emerged from within his body, sitting cross-legged facing Lin Yuan. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Terrible power of Taiyang surged within the Taiyang Divine Spirit, an endless supply of Taiyang power faintly forming a world of flames and gathering the understanding of space rules. The world of flames expanded rapidly, reaching a range of 200,000 li in an instant. After stepping into the 8th layer, even without relying on Yin-Yang Taiji, just using the Taiyang rule and space rules alone, I can create a world of flames, Lin Yuan thought quickly to himself. Taiyin and Taiyang merged into Taiji, perfecting the strength and lowering the difficulty of creating a minor world, allowing Lin Yuan to open up an inner world at the 6th rank peak. Find your next read on Empire now. As Lin Yuan had reached the 8th layer and continuously deepened his understanding over the years, the Taiyang rule was profoundly comprehended, such that even if the power of Taiyang was slightly extreme, from a high viewpoint, he could use the space rules to carve out a world of flames. However, in terms of the stability of the world, a pure world of flames certainly could not compare to a Taiji world. Door to the myriad realms? Lin Yuan seemed to sense something and immediately submerged his mind into the depths of his consciousness. He arrived at the majestic and grand door to the myriad realms. After stepping into the 8th layer, the door to the myriad realms has become a bit more solid, observed Lin Yuan carefully. As early as when he had stepped into the 6th rank, Lin Yuan knew that the door to the myriad realms he saw was nothing but a projection of the true door to the myriad realms. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 414 Meeting the Supreme Being, subscription requested. _2 At Lin Yuan's life level, he simply couldn't withstand the true door to the myriad realms. However, as Lin Yuan's strength continually increased and his life constantly transformed, the projection of the door to the myriad realms clearly began to solidify gradually. It's a pity that stepping into the 8th layer, the door to the myriad realms didn't reveal any extra functions. Lin Yuan felt somewhat disappointed, but he quickly cheered up. The assistance that the door to the myriad realms provided him was already significant enough. Without the door to the myriad realms, he might still be struggling on Kanglin's star. How could he possibly have attained such a lofty status now? I wonder what level of strength one needs to fully bear the door to the myriad realms? Lin Yuan thought to himself. At least the current 8th layer was far from sufficient, and the 9th rank was probably also doubtful. He continued observing the door to the myriad realms. After confirming that he hadn't missed anything, Lin Yuan's mind returned to reality. Demon Jade Space? Lin Yuan utilized the perception of the magic jade mark deep within his soul. He sensed a vast and boundless mysterious space, which Lin Yuan could enter with just a thought, as long as he wished, using the magic jade mark. Forget it. Although I'm not weaker than a peak 8th layer now, it's only in terms of combat power, my realm is still in the early stages of the 8th layer. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. Entering the demon jade space required at least the utmost peak of the 8th layer. Lin Yuan planned to train for a while longer and make more preparations before considering entering it. After all, the magic jade mark had already condensed out, and the demon jade space was there. It wasn't going anywhere. Martial path, evolutionary path. Finally, I can continue to perfect it. Lin Yuan's face showed a smile. Previously constrained by the heart demon tribulation and stuck at the 7th rank, he forcefully initiated the 8th stage martial Tao, where even with against heaven's understanding, the results had been half as effective. Therefore, Lin Yuan focused most of his energy on comprehending the space rules model and understanding the many evolution paths within that segment of the body. Now this restriction was lifted. The 8th stage of martial arts is extremely important. To be precise, all 8th layer parts of the evolution paths are very important. The 3 goddesses of human civilization consider whether one can open up a stable, complete 8th layer evolution path as a prerequisite for becoming an evolution scholar. Lin Yuan quietly thought to himself. Evolution scholars hold a special status in human civilization, being gems of the entire civilization. Take it slow. Opening the 8th stage martial Tao can't be rushed. Lin Yuan was very cautious. This was not only related to the potential of the martial path evolutionary path but also to his own potential. Virtual world. Lin Yuan's figure appeared at the mountain peak summit. That segment of the body? Lin Yuan raised his head, looking towards that segment of the body beneath the sky. After stepping into the 8th layer, Lin Yuan's realm was enhanced, and now contemplating that segment of the body gave him entirely different sensations. At the 7th layer, Lin Yuan observed that segment of the body, utilizing against heaven's understanding. It was about seeing the mountain as mountain, seeing the water as water. But now, Lin Yuan observing that segment of the body once again, it had become the case of seeing the mountain not as mountain, seeing the water not as water. Even starting from the top, the parts of the body that he had previously fully understood could still reveal entirely different evolution paths. Is this what being a supreme being is like? Merely a segment of a body that's been dead for who knows how many years. Can still give me a feeling of immense benefit. Lin Yuan was amazed internally, and this was still based on the foundation of against heaven's understanding. Supreme beings stand at the ultimate of a supreme evolution path. They fully comprehend the complete space rules, fully comprehend the complete rule of time, and also wield a certain authority, going against the current to save persons. Resurrection is just the most ordinary capability of a supreme being, something every supreme being can do, or rather, anyone who has mastered the rule of time and space rules can achieve. However, resurrecting a dead being entails enduring the backlash of the entire universe. Only a supreme being can lightly withstand such backlash. At my current rate of understanding, to comprehend 3,333 evolution paths, I would need only a few months at most. Lin Yuan estimated internally, the effectiveness of against heaven's understanding depends on the heights he has reached. If Lin Yuan were just an ordinary person, observing a plant or a flower, he probably could only comprehend ordinary martial arts. But if Lin Yuan were a higher rank evolver, he might realize insights related to the life rules. Similarly, After stepping into the 8th layer, Lin Yuan's rate of understanding had already ascended to another level. To fully comprehend 3,333 types of evolution paths, I can become an ordinary member of the Magic Jade Tower. What about 6,666 types? Or 9,999 types? Lin Yuan thought to himself. Although he didn't know what the use of ordinary members and core members of the Magic Jade Tower was, Lin Yuan instinctively felt that the higher the membership level, the greater the benefits for him. Regardless of whether there were gains from increasing membership levels, Lin Yuan would continue to come here to understand more evolution paths, in order to provide nourishment for the 8th stage martial Tao. On the other side of the firmament, atop a high platform, several figures fixed their gazes upon Lin Yuan. Is that the 13-peak master of the Red Kuan lineage? Did he step into the 8th stage not long ago? An 8th layer before the age of 100, huh? Red Kuan sure is lucky. Indeed, to cultivate to the 8th layer so quickly, could there be other opportunities involved? These figures conversed among themselves. As 9th rank evolvers standing high above, it was rare for anyone to catch their attention. Previously, as a 7th rank evolver under the age of 100, Lin Yuan had only drawn a few extra glances from them, but that was all. Although rare, a 7th rank under 100 was still a long way from 9th rank. But now, Lin Yuan had reached the 8th layer. Although he was still far from 9th rank, he was now worthy of their attention. In this generation of our human civilization, among those under the age of 10,000, only the few progeny of the Supreme Beings and those few who have received special heritages can compare, right? A figure said softly. The progeny of the Supreme Beings, nurtured meticulously from birth and even sleeping within the origin source of space before being born, naturally grasped the space rules and were exceedingly close to other rules. Like children of the great Tao. Along with various encounters and resources. Even so, in the eyes of these figures, they could only just compare to Lin Yuan. As for the others who received special heritage, they were even more irreplaceable existences. In a mysterious space, a towering figure enshrouded in a haze of gray mist suddenly opened his eyes. Entering the 8th layer before the age of 100? Interesting. Scenes flickered before this towering figure. Do you know of the second method of exploration for that body segment? This towering figure generated many speculations in his mind. Related to extraterrestrial forces? A chosen one? Guided by the cosmic origin? This towering figure sank into thought. Goddess of wisdom. The towering figure's voice resonated, shaking the vicinity for trillions of miles. Respected Supreme Being, what are your commands? The solemn, cool voice of the Goddess of Wisdom came through. I plan to meet this young fellow in the virtual world. There wouldn't be any problems, right? The towering figure said casually. Respected Supreme Being, this citizen is very important to human civilization. The evolutionary path he has established might become a new supreme evolution path in the future. The Goddess of Wisdom cautioned. Don't worry, I know my limits, the towering figure sneered. So you, Goddess of Wisdom, know to protect the genius descendants of mankind? On Chikuan main star. Lin Yuan ended his contemplation. Has reached the 8th stage, then has that psychic will pressure also ascended to 8th layer level? Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. The psychic will pressure from that body segment was entirely dependent on the realm and strength of the contemplator's own spirit will. Not to mention the 8th layer, even a 9th rank evolver, contemplating that body segment, would still have to endure immense psychic will pressure every single moment. Just as Lin Yuan was planning to step out of the grand hall for a stroll, the voice of the Goddess of Wisdom suddenly reached him. Respected 7th level citizen Lin Yuan, someone wishes to meet you. Wants to meet me? Lin Yuan halted, puzzled. He had never seen the Goddess of Wisdom relay messages for someone else. At least a 7th level citizen like him couldn't command the Goddess of Wisdom to do so. Who? Lin Yuan asked. A supreme being. P.S. Here I'll clarify, I've never written about the specific rank of a supreme being, neither 9th rank nor 10th rank equates to a supreme being. Regarding that previous Vice Tower Master, The protagonist believes he is at least 9th rank. Just at least. With the combat power shown by the Vice Tower Master, to shatter a light-year area of the Heiyuan's secret realm in a snap of the fingers, his power clearly surpasses 9th rank. Chapter 415 The Gift from the Supreme Being. Subscription requested. A Supreme Being wishes to see me? Lin Yuan felt waves stirring in his spirit, as Supreme Beings were the towering pillars of human civilization. Today, human civilization could sweep across the myriad clans, led by 3 goddesses and supported by 9 Supreme Beings' pinnacle combat powers. Without Supreme Beings, human civilization simply couldn't counter the insect race's sea of bugs army. Yes, the Supreme Being who wishes to see you is named Xiaqin, answered the goddess of wisdom. Xiaqin Supreme Being. Lin Yuan's thoughts scattered. Xiaqin Supreme Being was the 3rd Supreme Being of human civilization, stationed in the Evolution Tower within the northeastern region of the human civilization territory, facing 2 peak clans alone. How will I see him? Lin Yuan asked. You can meet in the virtual world, replied the goddess of wisdom, her voice solemn and cold. Understood. Lin Yuan nodded. It was within Lin Yuan's expectations that a Supreme Being wished to see him. As Lin Yuan's strength continually improved, it was bound to attract the attention of a Supreme Being. Below the 8th layer, 6th and 7th rank were not even noticed by Supreme Beings, but reaching the 8th layer, that already constituted high-end combat power of human civilization. And Lin Yuan's age upon entering the 8th layer was exceedingly young, under 100 years old, to be precise, just over 30. Even if Supreme Beings were not yet paying attention to Lin Yuan, once he became an invincible 8th layer and entered the 9th rank, he still would need to meet a Supreme Being. A mysterious virtual world. Lin Yuan's form appeared as he looked around. In the distance, a towering man stood. To call him towering was actually an understatement as he was only 3 meters tall, but to Lin Yuan he felt immensely towering, far surpassing tens of thousands of stars combined. Supreme Being. Lin Yuan scrutinized the towering man, feeling his soul tremble. On this towering man, it seemed as though he saw the vast cosmic starry sky, an endless operation of the origin source. Space rules? Rule of time? No, it's the space-time rule formed after the fusion of space rules and rule of time? And the rule of life, rule of cause and effect. Too many. Although Lin Yuan stiffly tried to comprehend with his against heaven's understanding, he found it barely effective. The gap between them was too vast. Lin Yuan was able to understand the paths of the evolution contained in that segment of the body because the other party had completely perished. And a Supreme Being had paid a price to forcibly reveal the mysteries contained within that segment of the body. Additionally, because of the isolation by the virtual world, that allowed 7th rank evolvers among humans to comprehend it. Without the above preparations, if that segment of the body were brought directly for comprehension, presumably all 6th and 7th rank evolvers would go mad at just a glance at it. Now, Lin Yuan trying to comprehend Xiaqin Supreme Being was like directly trying to understand the origin operation of the cosmic starry sky, hardly understanding anything significant in a short time. Interesting little fellow. Xiaqin Supreme Being observed Lin Yuan and said with a smile. I have seen the Supreme Being, Lin Yuan said respectfully immediately. It's terrifying, the different rules can actually fuse together. Lin Yuan subtly saw a path to the 9th and even 10th rank from the Supreme Being. An 8th rank evolver eager to advance to the 9th rank needed not only a well-perfected inner world but also fusion rules. Chikuan Star Lord was stuck here, with the fusion of space rules and fire rules not reaching perfect fusion. But on Xiaqin Supreme Being, Lin Yuan felt many rules merging into one, even the foundational space and time rules perfectly fused into the space-time rule. You have a fine talent and know the second method to comprehend that segment of the body. You must also know of the magic Jade Tower's existence? You should possess an off-world opportunity? Xiaqin Supreme Being casually mentioned. Yes, Lin Yuan immediately responded, feeling startled inside. The magic Jade Tower? Xiaqin Supreme Being also knew about the magic Jade Tower? All along, Lin Yuan had thought only he knew about the magic Jade Tower, but now it seemed The supreme beings of human civilization had long been aware of it. As for the off-world opportunity Xiaqian supreme being mentioned, although not very precise, the door to the myriad realms should also be considered an off-world opportunity? The insect race, those old folks, I don't know from where they learned that a corpse of a magic jade tower supreme being was about to drift in. The magic jade tower is an ancient force. Their tower master disappeared for who knows how many years, and most of their members have also mostly kept out of sight. Xiaqian supreme being said, slightly emotional. Lin Yuan silently listened below. The pressure from the supreme being was just too great, and from Xiaqian supreme being's tone, the so-called off-world opportunity wasn't taken seriously. Of course, Lin Yuan was certain that the supreme being likely had not discovered the existence of the door to the myriad realms. So far, of all the existences Lin Yuan had encountered, only the towering door to the myriad realms deep in his mind could compare with the current Xiaqian supreme being. However, the door to the myriad realms in his mind was merely an insignificant projection of the true door to the myriad realms, and in terms of hierarchy, the door to the myriad realms was even above the supreme being. And your spirit will, Xiaqian supreme being continued observing Lin Yuan, and in a trance, time fluctuation began to change. If I'm not mistaken, the ages experienced by your spirit will should be different from your physical soul, right? Xiaqian supreme being said with a smile. As a being who fully mastered the rule of time, Xiaqian supreme being only needed a brief observation of Lin Yuan to notice the differences in the passage of time on his body. The ages experienced by the spirit will? Lin Yuan was slightly startled. He had traveled 7 times, experiencing over 1,000 years in reality, but he had never told anyone about this, even the Chikuan Star Lord. Chapter 416 The Gift of the Supreme Being. Please subscribe. _2 Lin Yuan's expression changed slightly. You little fellow, don't be nervous. It's not an uncommon thing for your spirit will to have experienced more years than your physical soul. Many attributed talents can achieve this, such as eternal dream, time chamber, and so on. Xiaqian supreme being shook his head with a smile. As a supreme being, one could go against the flow of the river of time, naturally being able to slow the passage of time. In the blink of an eye on the outside, one could experience millions of years. Or, while millions of years pass by on the outside, only a moment goes by for oneself. Moreover, many attributed abilities can also do this, mostly related to time. Eternal dream. Time chamber. Lin Yuan secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Although he didn't know the specifics, since the Supreme Being said so, it must be related to the flow of time. Indeed, for a Supreme Being, controlling time isn't a difficult task. Even the dead can be resurrected, so what is accelerating or slowing the passage of time? Of course, when it comes to the speed of time, only Supreme Beings or those who have mastered the complete rule of time can do it, belonging to the most top-tier abilities and opportunities. Judging by the passage of years of your spirit will, you should be about 2,000 years old. Xiaqian Supreme Being looked at Lin Yuan and said, Supreme Being. Lin Yuan heard this and didn't speak. Haha, are you now thinking that your name as a genius is going to be gone? Teased Xiaqian Supreme Being. Indeed, Lin Yuan nodded. You don't need to think like that, Xiaqian Supreme Being said. If you live long enough, you can step into the 8th layer. How could our human alliance's 8th layer only consist of so little? Besides, the goddess of wisdom said you are the founder of an evolution path, and the path you have opened has tremendous potential. Under the condition of continuously pioneering evolution paths, merely having a spirit will age of 2,000 years and achieving this much, in human civilization history, your talent is enough to rank in the top 20 or top 10. Xiaqian Supreme Being said with a smile. If Lin Yuan's spirit will age were the same as his physical primordial spirit, only a little over 30 years old, he would have doubted if there was some other background to Lin Yuan. A little over 30 years old, stepping into the 8th layer, pioneering an evolution path with tremendous potential, it just couldn't be done. Even the Supreme Being would find it absurd. The top 20 or top 10 in human civilization history. Lin Yuan blinked his eyes. Such an evaluation was terrifyingly high. This was the history of human civilization, the Starry Sea era that spanned over 2 million years. How many prodigies and monsters had human civilization produced? Even including the 9 supreme beings, being able to rank in the top 20 or top 10 meant he was at the very top just below the supreme beings, right? Hearing Xiaqin Supreme Being's evaluation of himself, Lin Yuan couldn't help feeling a bit smug, but he quickly recovered. No matter how strong the talent, if it could not be converted into strength, it was meaningless. In the 2 million years of the Starry Sea era, many evolvers had the potential to become supreme beings, but in the end, human civilization only had 9 supreme beings. Having an attributed talent like Eternal Dream can indeed give a great advantage in the early stages of cultivation, but that's about it. At the 7th or 8th rank, such abilities are no longer so critical, Xiaqin Supreme Being stated. So-called Eternal Dream is experiencing thousands of years within a dream, a feat easily achievable by a supreme being. Even if Lin Yuan used abilities like Eternal Dream, just taking a little over 2,000 years to reach his current point still couldn't conceal his heaven-defying talent. That was why Xiaqin Supreme Being rated Lin Yuan among the top 20 or top 10 in the entire history of human civilization. Understood, Lin Yuan said softly. In fact, the traveling ability of the door to the myriad realms was far from as simple as Eternal Dream. Traversing to a world, absorbing the essence of that world's cultivation system, and perceiving the fluctuations of many rules across different dimensions and planes. This was far more precious than the speed of time. Xiaqin Supreme Being had only noticed that something was off with the passage of Lin Yuan's spirit while time but had yet to discover the existence of the door to the myriad realms. With your talent and aptitude, there shouldn't be too big of an obstacle in the practice at the 8th layer level, but when it comes to the final fusion rules, you have to think carefully, said Xiaqin Supreme Being. The fusion rules here are not ordinary fusion among rules, but a fusion between pillar rules and other rules. You must carefully consider which rules to integrate with the pillar rules, Xiaqin Supreme Being advised. Thank you for your guidance, Supreme Being, Lin Yuan nodded. The so-called pillar rules referred to the space rules, rule of time, rules of life, and so on. Now that you have stepped into the 8th layer, I presume you are about to head to the fringe starfield to preside for 500 years? Xiaqin Supreme Being looked at Lin Yuan. Yes, Lin Yuan nodded. But I haven't chosen which star domain yet, Lin Yuan said. The fringe starfield is fraught with danger, therefore I will give you a treasure, Xiaqin Supreme Being said. Don't refuse. Do you think you are strong? Have the doppelganger skill. Or that with our intervention in resurrection, you will not die? Xiaqin Supreme Being looked at Lin Yuan and shook his head. The doppelganger skill is not foolproof, and the method of resurrection does not bring back everything, Xiaqin Supreme Being continued. For instance, with memory contamination, no matter how many avatars you have, you will have to die. After resurrection, as long as the memory remains, you will still have to die. Memory contamination. Lin Yuan's expression grew solemn. Such methods, with more restrictive conditions than curse-killing skill, would be difficult for even a 10th rank being to apply to him, given his current strength. I will bestow upon you a treasure, called the soul-settling pearl. Even if a supreme being attempts memory contamination on you or uses other means, you will be able to persist for an instant. At that moment, detonate yourself immediately and wait for me to resurrect you. Xiaqin Supreme Being spoke calmly. Can it withstand a supreme being for an instant? Lin Yuan was shocked. What existence were supreme beings? Their attacks were unpredictable and profound. For example, if an alien strong one wanted to kill Lin Yuan before he met Xiaqin Supreme Being, it would not be too difficult. It could even be a permanent kill, beyond the scope of resurrection. But supreme beings have their pride. Presently, to the outside world, Lin Yuan was just an 8th layer being under 100 years old, not warranting a supreme being's intervention. If it were revealed that Lin Yuan was not only an 8th layer being under 100 years old but also the founder of the martial path evolutionary path, the situation might change. Remember, once the soul-settling pearl is activated passively, you must not hesitate to choose self-detonation. Do not delay, Xiaqin Supreme Being said gravely. As long as Lin Yuan had not been subjected to memory contamination or the like, Xia Qin Supreme Being would be able to resurrect him, leaving the essentials unharmed. But once memory contaminated, just like the heart demon tribulation, even a Supreme Being could not remove all, meaning even after resurrection, death would still ensue. Understood, Lin Yuan said in a deep voice. What Xia Qin Supreme Being was considering were the extreme situations Lin Yuan might face. Under normal circumstances, a Supreme Being would not intervene. If an alien Supreme Being took action to erase a human prodigy, then the Supreme Beings of human civilization would also intervene, erasing the geniuses of the different species. In that case, no one would dare venture out. Unless the alien Supreme Being saw in Lin Yuan the hope of becoming a Supreme Being. Otherwise, it would not even bother to pay attention. And while there have been several 8th-layer evolvers under 100 years old throughout the history of human civilization, very few ultimately touched the realm of Supreme Beings. Xia Qin Supreme Being was aware that Lin Yuan was the founder of the martial path evolutionary path, and as the founder, having no path laid out before him yet still reaching this point, there certainly was potential for him to become a Supreme Being. But Xia Qin Supreme Being knew what the alien Supreme Beings did not. Within the whole human civilization, only 3 goddesses and 9 Supreme Beings knew that Lin Yuan was the founder of the martial path evolutionary path. The soul-settling pearl will be delivered to you as soon as possible. Xia Qin Supreme Being gestured dismissively and proceeded to send Lin Yuan away from the virtual world. After Lin Yuan had vanished, Xia Qin Supreme Being's smile began to fade. I hope you grow up successfully. Xia Qin Supreme Being looked towards the last spot where Lin Yuan had stood, with a glimmer of anticipation in his eyes. Chapter 417 Choosing a Star Domain. End of this volume. Please subscribe. Consciousness returned to reality. Scenes of Lin Yuan's exchange with the Xia Qin Supreme Being flashed through his mind. Supreme Beings are too terrifying. Lin Yuan was astonished in his heart. Could they really discern the traces of his spirit will's passage through time solely with an avatar in the virtual world? But the door to the myriad realms, Lin Yuan was very certain, the Xia Qin Supreme Being had not detected the door to the myriad realms at all. Although he had only traversed it 7 times, Lin Yuan indeed knew the immense value the door to the myriad realms held for human civilization. If human civilization controlled the door to the myriad realms, there would be no need to persist in wars with the surrounding peak clans. What was the purpose of the human civilization alliance constantly waging wars? Resources. It was all for resources. In the cosmic starry sky, resources are limited. If human civilization wanted to develop continuously, it would have to plunder resources ceaselessly. And this would inevitably lead to conflicts with other peak clans, thereby igniting wars. With the door to the myriad realms, human civilization could completely invade other dimensions and realms to acquire a vast amount of resources. Lin Yuan was very clear about this, but he would never take the initiative to disclose the existence of the door to the myriad realms. Human nature is unpredictable. In the face of absolute interests, no one can guarantee what they might do. Perhaps in the future, once Lin Yuan became a Supreme Being or even surpassed them, he would use the door to the myriad realms to open pathways to other dimensional realms, allowing the evolvers of human civilization to go and pioneer new territories. As for now, Lin Yuan would absolutely not reveal the existence of the door to the myriad realms to anyone. This was Lin Yuan's biggest trump card. The Red Kuan lineage's Shursan becoming an 8th layer was a sensational event for both the Chikuan Star Domain and the Anan Star Alliance. Especially considering that the Great Peak Master had also advanced to the 8th layer not long ago, it was not an exaggeration to say that the Red Kuan lineage's foundation had grown significantly with 2 more 8th layer individuals. As a result, the Red Kuan lineage decided to hold a grand ceremony to celebrate the birth of the 2 8th layer individuals. The celebration took place in the virtual world, and forces or lone evolvers with even a modicum of fame from the Anan Star Alliance and dozens of surrounding star alliances hurried over, making it much more magnificent than the reception when Lin Yuan advanced to the 6th rank. The Red Kuan lineage gaining a peak master was a big deal within the Chikuan Star Domain but not beyond it. However, the birth of an 8th rank evolver, especially a sub-century-old one like Lin Yuan, signified tremendous potential to every power, which was nothing short of terrifying. This was not the time to forego congratulations, as there might not be another chance later. Is that Hong Feng Star Lord? That's Wanyang Star Lord? Even the Golden Dragon Star Master has come? So many 8th layer Star Lords. Even the invincible ones of the 8th layer have arrived in large numbers. The scale of this, it's rivaling a Star Alliance level celebration. The guests discussed in low voices. These were big shots in their own star domains but quite ordinary here. Only the 8th layer Star Lords received a second glance at Xianxia's ceremony. As for the 7th and 6th rank evolvers, there were too many to take notice of them all. That must be Xianxia so young. Indeed, it's amazing how he advanced to the 8th layer at such a young age. Of course, the guest of interest was Lin Yuan. While the Great Peak Master advancing to the 8th layer was impressive, it paled next to Xianxia. Lin Yuan sat at a table with his parents, with several tables next to them reserved for the Star Lords. So many important figures. Lin Yi looked left and right, feeling fortunate to be in the virtual world where the auras of the high-rank evolvers were suppressed. If this were reality, her being a lower-rank evolver would probably have made her tremble and feel uneasy merely with a glance. This was the oppression of the essence of life. Xiaoyuan, this. Father Lin Shouqing sighed. His son had achieved far too much. He had thought Lin Yuan becoming Xianxia of the Red Kun lineage was already a stroke of ancestral fortune. But now Lin Yuan had ascended to the 8th layer, and he was sub-century old at that. In recent times, countless massive powers from different star domains had contacted him, either proactively or passively. Their goal was to ingratiate themselves with Lin Yuan. Xiaoyuan, I've heard that 8th rank evolvers need to go to the fringe starfield to take charge. Isn't that very dangerous? Mother Lu Qiong asked in a low voice, her tone full of concern. It is somewhat dangerous, but I can handle it, said Lin Yuan with a smile. Lin Yuan's true self was heading to the fringe starfield to take charge, while one incarnation as Yin spirit and Yang spirit was in the battlefields of different races, and the other in the Qikuan main star. Perfectly safe. The avatar methods of other evolvers only allowed the resurrection of incarnations while the true self was still alive. If the true self were to fall, then all of its avatars would fall as well. But Lin Yuan's martial Tao primordial spirit, in the strictest sense, was not an avatar. There was no need for the true self to be alive to condense the Yin spirit and Yang spirit. Even if the true self fell, the Yin and Yang spirits could still use the Taiji's ability to create all things to re-evolve a physical body. Moreover, with the physical body divine ability blood rebirth, there was no need for Lin Yuan to go through such trouble. Apprentice, come over here, beckoned Qikuan Star Lord's voice in Lin Yuan's ear. I'll be back in a moment, Lin Yuan said as he rose and gestured to his parents. These few are my good friends. They wanted to meet you. Qikuan Star Lord was chatting and laughing with several Star Lords. Upon seeing Lin Yuan approaching, he immediately introduced him. This is your young apprentice, one remarked. Truly terrifying potential, an 8th layer under 100 years old. Qikuan, you old rascal, your luck is too good, isn't it? Chapter 418 Choosing a Star Domain. End of this volume. Please subscribe. _21 Star Lord after another spoke. Lin Yuan had entered the 6th rank before the age of 100. Many of these Star Lords largely praised the Qikuan Star Lord for his brilliant methods of mentoring disciples. But now, Lin Yuan had entered the 8th rank before the age of 100. All the Star Lords changed their tune, considering the Qikuan Star Lord to be lucky. Several Star Lords even felt envious when they saw Lin Yuan, thinking that if they had received such a disciple, they could have done no worse than the Qikuan Star Lord. This was indeed the case. The Qikuan Star Lord knew his own family affairs. His guidance for Lin Yuan was actually quite minimal. Apart from providing material resources, the Qikuan Star Lord's mentoring did not exceed 5 times. What's the matter? Luck is also a type of strength. Not convinced? Try finding such a disciple yourself. The Qikuan Star Lord was in a good mood. Not only did he not refute, but he took pride in this fact. The celebration lasted several days. Lin Yuan quickly resumed his cultivation. The 8th layer part of the martial path evolutionary path focuses on the integration of rules. Lin Yuan thought quickly, a vast amount of spiritual light surged in his mind, contemplating the gains of that body segment and transformed them into a foundation at this moment, continuously propelling Lin Yuan to open up the 8th stage of martial arts. Rule integration must have a pillar rule. I will integrate Tai-Yin Tai-Yang rule with space rules. The foundation of the martial Dao that Lin Yuan cultivated was based on Tai-Yin, Tai-Yang, and Taiji. Therefore, in the 8th rank, the natural course was for Tai-Yin and Tai-Yang to integrate with the space rules. This was set as the path from the 2nd layer chapter, 3rd layer chapter in the martial path evolutionary path. Of course, other martial arts evolutionaries don't have to do it this way. They can choose their own paths without being confined to Tai-Yin and Tai-Yang. He ended his cultivation for the day. Lin Yuan began to go through the gifts that other evolutionaries had given him at the celebration. Since the Red Kuan lineage hosted the celebration, the participating evolutionaries, to some extent, expressed their goodwill. Especially for 13 Peak Master with infinite potential in the 8th rank, why not invest now rather than when 13 Peak Master is unmatched in the 8th rank and entering the 9th rank? By then, it would depend on whether they would even be accepted. Although investing now was adding icing to the cake, it was still better than not investing at all. All the gifts together amount to about 150,000 cubic universe crystals. Lin Yuan was in a good mood. This was much more than the gifts he received when he first advanced to a 7th level citizen. When Lin Yuan advanced to 7th level citizen, hiding his true identity, many evolutionaries were reluctant to invest too much. But now advancing to an 8th rank evolver, being an evolver under 100 years of age at the 8th rank, which evolver would dare to underestimate this? With my current universe crystals, plus several shares of income from the martial path evolutionary path, it's nearly 200,000 cubic? Lin Yuan's face revealed a smile. Universe crystals, being a universal currency among the 10,000 races of the cosmic starry sky, not only held monetary value but also practical value. 200,000 cubic universe crystals exceeded the wealth of ordinary 8th rank peak evolvers. Of course, the wealth of most 8th rank evolvers was concentrated in weapons and treasures. The number of universe crystals they held was not the main aspect. Lin Yuan looked up, gazing toward the outside of the Great Hall. 13 Peak Master. Lin Yuan stepped out of the Grand Hall and saw a gaunt man standing there. Who are you? Lin Yuan looked at the gaunt man, slightly startled inside. This man bore a striking resemblance to Nalen, the assistant tower master, who had recently destroyed the edge of the Heiyuan's secret realm with a flick of his fingers. Of course, Lin Yuan deduced through the video that the person was at least a 9th rank evolver, probably even stronger. After all, the Heiyuan clan also had 5 or 6 9th rank powerhouses stationed there, but in front of assistant tower master Nalen, these 5 or 6 9th rank powerhouses didn't even dare to leave the secret realm, watching helplessly as Nalen crushed a vast area of the realm's edge. It was only when the insect race powerhouses came to support that Nalen stopped and left. This is what the tower master asked me to give to you. Nalen smiled slightly and handed a metal box to Lin Yuan. All right. Lin Yuan's expression was solemn as he accepted the metal box. The tower master values you highly. It's been a long time since I saw the tower master treating a junior like this. Nalen smiled slightly, and his figure directly disappeared. Nalen, the deputy tower master? Lin Yuan's thoughts raced. Nalen, the deputy tower master, must be the one stationed at the evolution tower overseen by Xiaqin, the supreme being. The evolution tower overseen by Xiaqin, the supreme being, is countless light years away from Chikuan star domain. Even with continuous wormhole shuttling, it would take hundreds to thousands of years to reach, yet the deputy tower master arrived in just less than half a month. Lin Yuan felt a jolt of shock. It said that after fully comprehending the complete rule model of space, one can master wide-range relocation techniques, moving hundreds of thousands of light years in just one step. But that is an ability only 9th rank evolvers can control. Lin Yuan thought silently to himself. At the edge of the human civilization territory, several immense wills penetrated through. Who was it, exactly, who detected Shirsan, the peak master of Red Kuan lineage's talent, and did not report it to the Insect Race Alliance immediately? The strongest of those wills suppressed its fury. If they had known earlier that Shirsan could step into the 8th rank before the age of 100, they would have done everything possible to eliminate him before he advanced to the 6th rank. As long as he was killed before reaching the 6th rank, even a supreme being couldn't bring him back to life. Those who didn't report on time are criminals of the Insect Race Alliance. The strongest will accuse the others. I'm not sure. Pan Yong was in charge of Chikuan Star Domain at that time, but he disappeared some time ago, and we have been unable to find him, said one of the wills immediately. Right, he just vanished suddenly. Now there's no way to know why he didn't report back then. Vanished? Just like that? The strongest will clearly didn't believe it. As long as the person in question is missing, no evidence can be formed, and the insect race cannot punish the corresponding clan. I suspect those people were bribed by the human civilization early on, which is also a setback for us, said the third will immediately. Bribed? The strongest will remained expressionless. I will continue to report this matter. As for you clans, just wait, the strongest will said, then dissipated. On Chikuan main star, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. Is this the soul-settling pearl? A treasure that can withstand a moment's attack from a supreme being? Lin Yuan opened the metal box, and a colorless, transparent pearl slowly floated up. It faintly radiated an extremely gentle power, making Lin Yuan's spiritual will feel as though it was soaking in a hot spring. Much more precious than an 8th rank spiritual defense treasure. No, even the origin fine gold given by the teacher can't compare. Lin Yuan thought silently to himself. Origin fine gold is indeed precious, possessing growth properties, but to grow it to the level of a supreme being, one would not know how many resources must be invested. The soul-settling pearl, however, must be a treasure at the level of a supreme being, otherwise, it couldn't block a supreme being's momentary attack. To know, a supreme being, mastering the complete rule of time, would kill an 8th rank evolver before they could even react, yet this soul-settling pearl could forcefully buy a momentary lapse of time. With that moment, Lin Yuan could choose to self-destruct. As long as he didn't receive memory contamination from a supreme being, so-called death, under the resurrection means of the supreme being, was merely like sleeping a while. I have Yang spirit at Chikuan main star. Even if I encounter a supreme being, I can just let my true self detonate without needing a supreme being's resurrection. Lin Yuan thought to himself inside. Regardless, it's always better to stay alive. Successfully refined the soul-settling pearl. Lin Yuan began to consider the matters he needed to face next. That was to choose a star domain on the periphery and then oversee it for 500 years. Most 8th rank evolvers oversee for far more than 500 years, like Chikuan Star Lord, who, having just advanced to the 8th rank, has been overseeing Chikuan Star Domain from that time until now, Lin Yuan thought internally. People have emotions and so do evolvers. Let's take a look, choose which star domain to manage. Lin Yuan opened the map of the Human Alliance territory to closely examine it. An 8th rank evolver in charge of a peripheral area will have the authority to name it. Originally, Chikuan Star Domain was not called Chikuan Star Domain. After Chikuan Star Lord took charge, it became Chikuan Star Domain. This place is the one. Lin Yuan focused his attention on a certain location on the map. Chapter 419 Galaxy Master, please subscribe. It's you. Lin Yuan looked toward the edge of the map, at a star domain that had just been incorporated into the human civilization territory, and made up his mind. Human civilization was expanding its frontiers at all times, incorporating vast swathes of star systems into its territory daily. These star systems and star domains, to integrate as smoothly as possible into human civilization, required the presence of sufficiently powerful beings to oversee them, facilitating large-scale migration. And such beings with sufficient clout. An 8th rank evolver would suffice. In the cosmic starry skies, the wars between many different species generally have an upper limit at the 8th layer, 9th rank evolvers? Unless a large-scale war broke out, like the recent one where human civilization conducted a cleanse of the many species within the insect race alliance. That's when evolvers of the 9th rank or even stronger were mobilized. But this was a rare case, as the insect race was trying to monopolize an ultimate evolutionary path that lacked supreme beings, which in turn provoked the wrath of human civilization. The insect race was also acutely aware of their situation and did not resist fiercely against human civilization's purge, or else it would have sparked a full-blown war with the alliances of the peak clans. Hence, in normal-scale wars, 8th rank combat power was usually the ceiling. As for 9th and 10th rank, even in large alien battlefields, it was unlikely for fighters of the 9th and 10th ranks to make a move easily. For human civilization to station 8th rank evolvers in fringe starfields was already giving them considerable attention. This star domain consists of 12 star systems, and preliminary surveys indicate there are as many as 1.5 million life planets suitable for normal human habitation, and over 10 billion of various resource planets. Lin Yuan carefully looked over the detailed information of the star domain. Since only preliminary surveys were conducted, much of the data was not precise, but it was enough for him to get a general understanding. All things considered, the star domain he chose was larger than Chikuan's star domain by half, as one could tell from the number of life planets. Most importantly, the different species bordering this star domain did not include any peak clans, making it relatively safe. In the future, this will be the place where I remain in charge for 500 or even more years. Lin Yuan carefully inspected the star domain on the map from all angles. Let's apply directly. After contemplating for a while, Lin Yuan started the application process with the Goddess of Wisdom. Application approved. Next, a staff member will contact you to verify your strength. The solemn and serene voice of the Goddess of Wisdom reached him. Understood. Lin Yuan nodded. Although the Red Kuan lineage had announced that Lin Yuan had advanced to the 8th rank, if one wanted to oversee a star domain, an official confirmation from human civilization was still required. It wasn't a matter of doubting the legitimacy of the Red Kuan lineage. It was just standardized procedure. Even disciples of supreme beings, after advancing to the 8th rank, had to follow this protocol. Teacher asked me to visit him before I leave? Upon receiving a message from the Chikuan Star Lord, Lin Yuan was slightly moved. Before the Great Peak Master left, he too had visited the Chikuan Star Lord. It must be that the Chikuan Star Lord had given some treasures to help face the many challenges of the fringe starfields. The situation in the fringe starfields was complicated. Although human civilization had driven different species out on the surface, many issues remained. For instance, how should one deal with certain special life-form species? These special life-form species have lived there since their inception and have exhibited no hostile actions against human civilization. How human civilization should deal with them after taking over these star domains is a conundrum. These special life-form species, while few in number, doesn't mean they are easy to deal with. 2 days later, the official staff members from human civilization arrived on Chikuan main star. Peak Master Xianxia. The 2 staff members were one tall and burly, and the other slim and slender. It's protocol, and we hope for Peak Master Xianxia's understanding. The slender staff member said with a smile. Many 8th rank evolvers would feel repulsed by this process, but rules were rules. To assume vast authority over a star domain naturally required passing through many processes. I understand. Lin Yuan wasn't bothered in the least. Peak Master Xianxia, please activate the power of your world through this crystal sphere, said the tall staff member, placing a crystal sphere in front of Lin Yuan. The sphere was transparent with twinkling stars inside, like a starry sea enclosed within. All right. With a flicker of his mind, Lin Yuan channeled a wisp of the world's power into the crystal sphere, then quickly withdrew it. But the sphere trembled slightly, and a few strands of golden light burst forth. Peak Master Xianxia's power of the world is without issue, the slender staff member remarked, his pupils slightly contracting as he exchanged a quick glance with his burly colleague and hastened to speak. Both had confirmed the power of many 8th rank evolvers and were quite experienced. But they were still astonished by the high quality of Peak Master Xianxia's world power. It was nearly on par with 7th rank peak evolvers. The two staff members were shocked. They had originally thought that for peak Master Xianxia to have advanced to the 8th rank before the age of 100, his foundation couldn't be as solid as those who took tens of thousands of years to advance. Yet, the world power Lin Yuan had shown revealed the stability of his inner world far surpassed that of typical newly advanced 8th rank evolvers. Peak Master Xianxia, please drop a bead of your blood into this bowl, requested the tall staff member, producing a metal bowl and placing it in front of Lin Yuan. To confirm whether an evolver has reached the 8th rank, 3 aspects must be examined. First is the power of the world. Second is the physical strength. Third is soul strength. World power alone does not suffice to determine an 8th rank evolver, since a small number of 7th rank evolvers can have an inner world before their peak. Chapter 420 Galaxy Master, please subscribe. _2 Lin Yuan was at the peak of the 6th rank, on the verge of breaking through to the 7th rank, when he completed the creation of his inner world. Only by combining physical strength with soul strength could one determine if an evolver has stepped into the 8th rank. Whoosh! Lin Yuan squeezed out a drop of blood. After dropping it into a metal bowl and getting confirmation from the emaciated staff member, Lin Yuan willed the drop of blood to dissipate into thin air. Having mastered the physical body divine ability Blood Rebirth, Lin Yuan had absolute control over every drop of his blood. After verifying his physical body, Lin Yuan proceeded to verify his soul strength. Shortly thereafter, the two staff members received confirmation. The peak master of Xianxia indeed stepped into the 8th rank. Even during the confirmation, the two staff members speculated that the peak master of Xianxia's strength was far superior to that of a normal 8th rank evolver. Peak master of Xianxia, we have finished the confirmation, the two staff members said with slight reverence. Thank you, Lin Yuan nodded. May I ask if you, peak master, have decided on a name for the star domain you wish to preside over? Asked the emaciated staff member, slightly curious. A name? Lin Yuan pondered for a moment before saying, I've already decided. What is it? The emaciated staff member asked curiously. This was not exactly a secret. The name of a star domain would inevitably become public knowledge. Let's call it Milky Way, said Lin Yuan calmly, with a voice full of implication. Milky Way star region? Milky Way. The two staff members, unaware of the significance of the name, congratulated with a smile. Congratulations to the Galaxy Master on your new appointment. With the star domain named Milky Way, Lin Yuan naturally became the Galaxy Master. Galaxy Master, Lin Yuan's thoughts wandered. He named the domain Milky Way in remembrance of the galaxy that Earth belonged to before he crossed over to this great universe world. After the two staff members left, less than a minute passed, Lin Yuan received the Goddess of Wisdom's confirmation. Respected 7th level citizen Lin Yuan, your star domain application has passed the review. Please proceed to select the main star configuration, came the solemn and cool voice of the Goddess of Wisdom. Main star configuration? Lin Yuan raised an eyebrow. He knew about the main star, which was the most central location in a star domain, like the Qikuan main star in the Qikuan star domain. Respected 7th level citizen Lin Yuan, the so-called main star configuration is the selection of resource levels to remodel the main star. Being a newly annexed star domain, the human civilization officially provides a Layer C remodel for free. Once you confirm the main star, a designated evolver will go to remake it, granting it basic war capabilities, the Goddess of Wisdom explained. I see, Lin Yuan suddenly understood. The Qikuan main star, as the most prosperous place in the Qikuan star domain, wouldn't dare be messed with, even by 8th rank evolvers. What accounted for this? The Qikuan Star Lord? Not entirely. Most of the time, the Qikuan Star Lord was in seclusion, and other than the affairs atop the 13 peaks, he typically ignored the rest. What normally governed the Qikuan main star were war technologies like the planetary defense system. The planetary defense system on the Qikuan main star could easily suppress any ordinary 8th rank evolver. What level of planetary defense system does a Layer C remodel correspond to? Lin Yuan inquired. It can suppress all 6th rank powerhouses and most 7th rank powerhouses, replied the goddess of wisdom. What about higher-level remodels? Lin Yuan continued to ask. A Layer B remodel can suppress all 7th-rank powerhouses and most 8th-rank powerhouses, and would require the Star Lord to pay an additional 100,000 cubic universe crystals. A Layer A remodel can suppress almost all 8th-rank evolvers, with the exception of the Invincibles, and would require the Star Lord to pay an additional 1 million cubic universe crystals. The goddess of wisdom's voice transmitted. So expensive? Lin Yuan was somewhat taken aback. Even a Layer B transformation required 100,000 cosmic crystals. What did that mean? It was equivalent to the entire wealth of a newly advanced 8th-rank evolver, including the value of treasures and weapons. Together, they amounted to just this much. Not to mention a Layer A transformation. But its effect was also obvious. A Layer B transformation could easily resolve most 8th-rank evolvers, and just this point alone was of immeasurable value. The main star of a star domain is the future economic and political center of that domain. There must be absolutely no security risks. Lin Yuan thought to himself. As long as the main star was well managed, it would become a money tree in the future. How much profit could the Qikuan main star generate for the Qikuan Star Lord, gathering merchants from numerous surrounding star domains each day? I choose the Layer B transformation, Lin Yuan said after some thought. Whether it was a Layer B or a Layer A transformation, they were both benefits provided by human civilization to various Star Lords. A planetary defense system that could suppress most 8th-rank powerhouses, if purchased privately, could not be quelled even with tens of thousands of cubic universe crystals. Layer B transformation requires 100,000 cubic universe crystals. Respected 7th-level citizen Lin Yuan, please confirm. The voice of the goddess of wisdom came. Confirmed. Lin Yuan nodded. The next moment, his account balance was short by 100,000 cubic universe crystals. It's deducted so quickly? Lin Yuan felt a bit of heartache. 100,000 cubic universe crystals left in his account a while longer would have earned tens of millions of civilization currency in interest. Really can't resist spending this money, Lin Yuan sighed. After the 8th-rank celebratory ceremony, Lin Yuan's total wealth once reached nearly 200,000 cubic universe crystals. Now, it had shrunk by more than half all at once. It can be earned back in the future. As long as the safety of the main star isn't compromised, it will inevitably become an economic center of a star domain. Wouldn't it be easy to recoup the investment by then? Lin Yuan comforted himself internally. These were all initial investments. Given a choice, Lin Yuan would have even preferred a Layer A transformation. After the choice of star domain was approved, Lin Yuan did not return to the Great Hall. Instead, he went directly to the Vermilion Palace where the Qikuan Star Lord was in seclusion. Teacher. At the palace, Lin Yuan bowed slightly to the Qikuan Star Lord. Even now, as Lin Yuan had stepped into the 8th rank, he still felt an overwhelming sense of pressure when facing the Qikuan Star Lord. One must know, although Lin Yuan had just entered the 8th rank, with the help of his inner world, he was enough to battle late 8th rank, or even peak 8th rank evolvers. Is this what it means to be invincible among the 8th rank? To have mastered a type of cosmic force? Lin Yuan thought to himself. Each invincible 8th rank had mastered a power that reigned supreme over 8th rank. This power was also known as cosmic force. In essence, the invincible 8th rank still remained at the 4th stage of the 8th rank, which is the extreme of the 8th rank. However, in terms of combat power, an invincible 8th rank could almost crush the extreme 8th rank. 1,000,000 years ago, an invincible member of the Heiyuan clan, Black Abyss Qingyu, killed O-In, who was in the late 8th rank, with a single soul attack. Each invincible 8th rank was unique, and the cosmic force they mastered was different from one another. My good disciple, have you made your choice of star domain? The Qikuan Star Lord looked at Lin Yuan with a smile. Among the 13 disciples, the one who gave him the least worry was Lin Yuan, who also had the highest achievements to date. It was foreseeable that in the future, it would still be Lin Yuan. Teacher, I've made my choice, Lin Yuan replied. He then took out a map and marked out that particular star domain. Not bad. The Qikuan Star Lord nodded and said, When going to the fringe star field, be very careful. By the way, you must have met the Supreme Being, right? Suddenly, the Chikuan Star Lord asked. If it was merely an under 100-year-old 7th rank, the Supreme Being might not take much notice, but for an under 100-year-old 8th rank, the Chikuan Star Lord was almost certain it would draw the attention of a Supreme Being. Teacher, the Supreme Being I met was Xiaqin Supreme Being, Lin Yuan said. There was no need to hide this matter. How could the historically ranked top 20 or top 10 genius evolvers of human civilization have not met with a Supreme Being? Xiaqin Supreme Being? That's a Supreme Being known for combat power in our human civilization, the Chikuan Star Lord spoke. Human civilization has 9 Supreme Beings. Each Supreme Being excels in different areas. To be precise, the Supreme Beings have no weak points, but compared to other Supreme Beings, they have their areas of advantage. For instance, the Feather Butterfly Supreme Being, although not skilled in direct combat, has followed an evolution path that allows her to construct an illusory universe. The current virtual world of human civilization originates from the authority of the Feather Butterfly Supreme Being, nearly able to flawlessly replicate everything within the universe, even simulating the rules. The importance of the Feather Butterfly Supreme Being is in no way inferior to that of the Xiaqin Supreme Being. Chapter 421 Special Life Groups, Subscription Requested. Alright. There is no need to inform me about your conversation with the Supreme Being. The reason I called you here is to consider your overseeing duties in the star domain that lies ahead. The Chikuan Star Lord looked down at Lin Yuan and began to speak. As a teacher, when a disciple is about to travel far and manage a distant star domain, it's natural to make some arrangements. Your strength is much greater than that of your senior brother. In this respect, I am not worried. A smile appeared on the face of the Chikuan Star Lord. Being able to advance to the newly reached 8th layer and possess combat power close to the late stages or peak of the 8th layer is extremely rare in the entire Anan Star Alliance. And if you consider those under 100 years old, the Human Civilization Alliance can hardly find a few. The Chikuan Star Lord was unaware that the true age of Lin Yuan's spirit was over 1,000 years old, nor did he know that the evolutionary path Lin Yuan had walked was one he had blazed from nothingness. Compared to being 1,000 years old, blazing a martial path evolutionary path is even more unthinkable. Xiaqin, the evolver, even ranked Lin Yuan among the top 10 to 20 geniuses in the history of human civilization. But in a strange star domain, relying solely on strength is not enough. You also must have trustworthy subordinates, thought the Chikuan Star Lord. 2 figures appeared not far away. These 2 figures, one with dark red skin and the other with sharp ears and green eyes, were obviously not human evolvers. Star Lord. The 2 figures bowed slightly towards the Chikuan Star Lord. From today onwards, you will follow my disciple, pointed out the Chikuan Star Lord towards Lin Yuan and said. Yes. The 2 figures walked up to Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan's expression subtly changed. From close sensing, both figures were 8th layer beings, not just newly advanced ones. These 2, as servants of mine, are not human evolvers. One is called Hongbi, mid-8th layer, and the other is called Vian, late 8th layer, he explained. There are no issues regarding their loyalty. With their aid, you will at least not be overwhelmed in the fringe star field, the Chikuan Star Lord said casually. Teacher, this is too precious, Lin Yuan said earnestly. Having 2 loyally devoted 8th layer beings from different species under one's command was simply. Lin Yuan couldn't even describe his feelings. From the perspective of merit points, 2 8th layer beings from another species were worth 2 million merit points. In fact, the real value of living 8th layer beings exceeded 1 million merit points, as an 8th layer being if long stationed in battlefields of different species could amass that many merit points over tens of thousands of years. Not to mention other incomes and gains. Why the formalities with me? With my current strength, do you think I need them? The Chikuan Star Lord glared at Lin Yuan. But Lin Yuan felt somewhat conflicted. Although as an undefeated being of the 8th layer, the Chikuan Star Lord indeed did not need mid or late 8th layer subordinates. Not needing them didn't mean they held no value. Casually placing those two 8th-layer beings in battlefields could earn the Qikuan Star Lord immense wealth over time. Having two 8th-layer beings work for him was extravagantly luxurious. No more buts. Just take them and keep them. The Qikuan Star Lord waved his hand and said, "Go back now. If there are any issues, just contact me in the virtual world." "Thank you, teacher." Lin Yuan bowed earnestly to the Qikuan Star Lord. Although Lin Yuan possessed both Yin spirit and Yang spirit, the Yin spirit needed to be accelerated under the eternal spatial rift in the battlefields of different species to accumulate world-breaking origin force. The Yang spirit stayed at the Qikuan main star for protection. Relying solely on his true self, many tasks would be hindered in the fringe starfield. But with these two 8th-layer subordinates, it was different now. Many things could be simply instructed. 13 peaks. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. Hongbi and Levian, the two 8th-layer beings of different species, stood in front of Lin Yuan. "Introduce yourselves," Lin Yuan said. "Peak Master, I am called Hongbi," said the dark red-skinned being. "My strength is at the mid-8th layer. I follow the rules of fire and space, and my inner world spans 9,800 li," Hongbi quickly stated. "Peak Master, I am Levian," said the being with green eyes beside him. "I am at the late 8th layer, proficient in the rule of life, late 8th layer. My inner world spans 32,000 li. If the Peak Master sustains any injuries, as long as the soul has not completely collapsed, I dare not say I can save you, but at least I can ensure you won't die for a short time," Levian said. "Rule of life." Lin Yuan took another look at Levian. The rule of life, along with the space and time rules, is one of the foundational rules of the cosmic starry skies. Currently, Lin Yuan's understanding of the rule of life was just a bit more than elementary. "I understand," Lin Yuan nodded. "Normally, you will stay in my inner world." Lin Yuan glanced at the two beings, his thoughts shifted, and he absorbed them into his inner world. In his inner world, Lin Yuan was akin to a creator god, capable of effortlessly mobilizing the power of an entire world. "This time, teacher has really helped me tremendously," Lin Yuan thought silently. With the assistance of Hongbi and Levian, Lin Yuan felt much relieved. To establish a star domain and govern billions of citizens involves aspects in every direction. Having two capable assistants relieved him of so much concern. Half a day later. "Master, your custom-ordered layer, a cosmic spacecraft, has arrived." The voice of the intelligent assistant rang in Lin Yuan's ears. "The spacecraft has arrived." Lin Yuan's spirits lifted slightly. The cosmic spacecraft Lin Yuan had purchased before were the most ordinary standard ones, only barely passable in performance. The wormhole shuttles it carried out were incomparable in both range and cooldown time to those of B-layer and layer spacecraft. Chapter 422 Special Life Populations. Please subscribe. _2 Of course, back then, Lin Yuan didn't care too much about the spaceship's performance, since the ones riding the spaceship were his Yin spirit and Yang spirit. As long as it could be used to travel, that was enough. However, now that Lin Yuan was about to head to the fringe starfield, and it was his true self going, he needed a high-quality cosmic spaceship. This kind of cosmic spaceship not only has a tremendous advantage in speed but, in escaping and preserving one's life, it also has miraculous effects. Lin Yuan stepped out of the Great Hall and immediately saw a black spaceship parked there. From the outside, this spaceship didn't look much different from those standard-issue spaceships, but the aura it emanated caused faint vibrations in the air. The spaceship was only 500 meters in size, with faint engraved patterns on its surface. These patterns were manifestations of the essence of rules, which could let the spaceship travel faster and more easily through wormholes. Not bad, not bad. Lin Yuan's mind was pleased. The spaceship was entirely forged from red copper gold. Ordinary attacks from an 8th layer strong one basically couldn't break its defenses. From startup to wormhole shuttle, the fastest time needed was only 12 seconds. 8,000 cubic universe crystals. Lin Yuan thought about the value of this cosmic spaceship and couldn't help but feel emotional. As a star domain lord, he certainly couldn't be traveling in those standard-issue spaceships. An grade cosmic spaceship would be enough for Lin Yuan to use for a very long time. In human civilization, using spaceships to travel is the most common choice, even for 9th rank evolvers who have fully grasped a complete core space model and mastered long-range teleportation. If there wasn't anything urgent, they would also usually travel by spaceship. Long-range teleportation techniques require evolvers to integrate with the space rules, and in an instant, move hundreds to thousands of light-years along with the wave of space. It consumes one's mind and spirit greatly. Generally, a 9th rank evolver would need to rest after not too long a time. Like Vice Tower Master Nalen, who traversed countless tens of thousands of light-years within half a month to deliver the soul-settling pearl to Lin Yuan, a 9th rank evolver wouldn't be capable of that. After storing the great cosmic spaceship, Lin Yuan returned inside the Great Hall. It's about time to leave, Lin Yuan thought to himself. Young spirit. With a slight thought, a phantom shadow walked out. It condensed into substance, looking face to face with Lin Yuan. From now on, you will be stationed here, Lin Yuan said, instructing the young spirit. And this drop of essence blood. Lin Yuan left behind a drop of essence blood. The blood rebirth physical body divine ability allowed Lin Yuan to completely control every drop of his essence blood, for within it was infused with fragments of his soul true spirit consciousness. Which treasures to take along as the true self heads to the Milky Way star region? Lin Yuan began to ponder. First and foremost was the soul-settling pearl bestowed by the Xiaqin Supreme Being. This treasure was Lin Yuan's biggest safeguard for preserving his life in front of a Supreme Being. He definitely had to carry it on his person. 8th layer soul defense artifact, water droplet. Also, that 8th layer armor. Lin Yuan pondered for a moment and decided to bring these 2 items as well. Lin Yuan had always valued defense concerning the soul aspect. Origin fine gold. With a thought from Lin Yuan, a bell-shaped weapon appeared before him. This bell-shaped weapon was only palm-sized, but the aura it faintly emitted was even more formidable than that 8th layer soul defense artifact. Let's not bring this. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. The reason was twofold. First, having just advanced to the 8th layer, the origin fine gold needed time to be nurtured to keep up with Lin Yuan's realm strength. Second, with the 8th layer soul defense artifact, 8th layer armor, and the magic jade mark enhancement, Lin Yuan believed that his defenses had already reached the extreme at his current stage. Even against an invincible 8th layer being, he could withstand a few blows without dying to a soul attack like O-In. Unknowingly, Lin Yuan had entirely surpassed O-In, a late-stage 8th layer evolver from 1,000,000 years ago. The current origin fine gold wasn't of much enhancement to Lin Yuan, at least not enough for a qualitative change. Bringing it or not didn't make much of a difference. The current situation in the Milky Way star region. Lin Yuan opened the data and began to read it carefully. The Milky Way star region originally belonged to the territories of the Shadow Tribe. And the Shadow Tribe, while not a peak clan, was still one of the most powerful clans just under the peak clans, with a force much stronger than the Heyuan clan. After defeating the Shadow Tribe on the battlefield, human civilization claimed vast territories, including the Milky Way star region that Lin Yuan needs to oversee. Within the Milky Way star region, apart from the Shadow Tribe, there existed some special life clans and solitary alien strong ones. These special life clans and solitary alien strong ones either dominated a cosmic secret realm or several constellation systems. When the Shadow Tribe was still around, they got along quite well with these special life clans and solitary alien strong ones, not infringing upon each other. Now that the Shadow Tribe has been repelled, the entire Milky Way star region has fallen into the hands of human civilization, and it is up to Lin Yuan to decide how to deal with these special life clans and solitary alien strong ones. 9 major special life clans, 13 solitary alien strong ones? Lin Yuan reviewed the data. These clans had not yet taken hostile actions against human civilization. How should they be dealt with? Lin Yuan understood clearly that if the Shadow Tribe had left these clans intact, it must have felt that dealing with them directly would be troublesome. It was very likely that these special life clans or solitary alien strong ones were either difficult to handle or had many backgrounds, making the Shadow Tribe hesitant to provoke them. Let's see what their attitudes are when the time comes. Lin Yuan pondered for a moment, feeling sure about his course of action. At the edge of human territories. A vast star domain. A gigantic figure was devouring one planet after another, unrestrained. So satisfying, so satisfying. Everything in this universe was meant to be our food. With those shadow tribe in charge before, I had to be cautious, but now that they've been defeated and withdrawn from this star domain, these planetary resources are all mine. This enormous figure, similar to an octopus and blood red all over, would envelop a planet with its numerous tentacles, and within days, consume the entire planet. It's a pity these resource planets are somewhat hard to digest. If they were life planets, the blood red octopus heart thrummed with excitement. A life planet teeming with billions of lives, devouring so many lives all at once, the countless flesh and souls, made the blood red octopus tremble with excitement. Let's search and see. It would be best to find a few indigenous planets. The blood red octopus immediately extended its massive perception, spreading in all directions. With the shadow tribe's retreat, they must have taken their kin with them, but in such a large star domain, there naturally remained many planets that hadn't been discovered yet. Perhaps amongst them were life planets. Several months later, the blood red octopus was contentedly devouring several life planets. Countless lives became the nourishment for the blood red octopus, bringing it pleasure that made its soul shiver. Haha. It'll digest for a while first. The blood red octopus returned to a massive planet, its lair, where it usually practiced or slumbered. The figure of the blood red octopus shrank rapidly, transforming into a being with dozens of arms. Aodu, you're back? On the other side of the massive planet, a gigantic mountain of flesh sent out psychic waves. This meaty mountain was a special life form, on good terms with the blood red octopus, and the two often communicated with each other. How many planets did you ingest this time? The enormous meaty mountain asked casually. Just over a dozen, but those resource planets are too hard to digest, so I secretly devoured a few life planets, and that feeling, the blood red octopus spoke with delight. Life planets. The enormous meaty mountain felt a bit tempted as well. Wait till I've digested, and then you can follow me. The two of us will go and devour those life planets together, the blood red octopus said. It possessed a special talent that allowed it to detect many planets in the nearby region. Otherwise, how could it so easily find life planets in the vastness of space? Forget it. Aodu, you'll also need to restrain yourself in the future, the meaty mountain said. Restrain? Why should I restrain? The blood red octopus asked, puzzled. This star domain is territory yielded by the shadow tribe. You should know whom the shadow tribe surrendered it to, right? The meaty mountain said, I've got the message that not long from now, a star lord of human civilization will come to sit in this star domain. Which star lord? Asked the blood red octopus. The meaty mountain replied, the Galaxy Master. Chapter 423 Meeting the Galaxy Master. Please subscribe. Galaxy Master? The crimson octopus Aodu thought hard, and finally shook his head, saying, never heard of him. As part of the Peak clans, he had heard of all the somewhat famous 8th layer evolvers of the human civilization, especially the likes of Wanyang Star Lord and Nine Sword Star Master, invincible beings at the 8th layer, whose names were known to all. But the Galaxy Master? The crimson octopus Aodu truly had not heard of him. Of course, you haven't heard of him. The massive flesh mountain glanced at Aodu. This Galaxy Master is a newly promoted 8th layer evolver. His teacher is the Chikuan Star Lord. Chikuan Star Lord? The crimson octopus Aodu's spirit was shocked. Every single one of the invincible at the 8th layer controlled a unique cosmic force, especially a fearsome invincible being like Chikuan Star Lord. Even if he hadn't seen him, there was no way he wouldn't know of him. This Galaxy Master is quite famous. Stepping into the 8th layer before 100 years of age, he is the top genius of this generation of human civilization. The massive flesh mountain knew many pieces of information about human civilization. It wasn't really considered intelligence, as the name of the Shursan Peak Master didn't need any inquiring at all. An 8th layer under 100 years old? The crimson octopus Aodu's expression was envious. Most of the human civilization's evolvers are like ants, but their rare talents truly make me envious. The Crimson Octopus Aodu, being a special life form, was at the 5th rank at maturity and could simply cultivate to step into the 6th rank. It didn't know how many years it took to reach its current 8th layer. But those top human talents had reached the heights where it resided in just a mere 100 or several hundred years. Of course, as a special life form, the Crimson Octopus Aodu's combat power surpassed that of a human evolver at the same level. But the gap between the two was not too significant. Below the 8th layer, human evolvers were crushed by special life forms of the same level. But after the 8th layer, upon opening up their inner worlds, the foundation of human evolvers was transformed, eliminating the fear of most special life forms at the same level. I am just warning you to be a little more cautious these days. Human civilization is not like the Shadow Tribe, the massive flesh mountain said. You'd better reduce the frequency of devouring life planets. Human civilization values their planets quite a lot. I am, after all, an 8th layer special life form, coming from the Star Alliance. Would he, the Galaxy Master, really trouble me over a few mere planets? The Crimson Octopus Aodu snorted coldly. In reality, it had already planned to heed the advice of the massive flesh mountain and behave for the time being. At least, it had to figure out what the disposition of this Galaxy Master was like. If he was as tolerant as the Shadow Tribe, then its future days would be very comfortable too. Star Alliance? The massive flesh mountain shook its head slightly. The Star Alliance comprised special life forms that banded together to resist the Human Civilization Alliance and the Insect Race Alliance. Special life forms, being scarce in number, simply couldn't form the massive clans like the human race or the insect race. To contend with humans and insects, they could only unite with one another. Of course, even so, the members of the Star Alliance were still not many, with most of them scattered throughout the universe. Our star domain is about to welcome a new master? Named the Galaxy Master? Will the name of this star domain also become the Milky Way star region? This Galaxy Master has an incredible background, being the disciple of Chikuan Star Lord and also the unparalleled genius of human civilization. I hope that this Galaxy Master will treat us like the Shadow Tribe did. That would be good. Not clear, every Star Lord of human civilization has a different temperament. If the Galaxy Master is cordial with us, of course, it would be a good thing. Although the personality of the Galaxy Master is unknown, he is very young, so he should not have much desire to kill. Inside the Milky Way star region, various special life form clans and reclusive different species lone walkers were quietly discussing. They had gotten along pleasantly with the Shadow Tribe, who had conceded many interests to stabilize them. Now that a new master from human civilization had taken over this star domain, these clans and individual wanderers were naturally anxious, unsure of what awaited them. The lone walkers and special life form clans had settled here for lengthy eons. If possible, they naturally did not wish to move. This was also why they still hadn't left after the Shadow Tribe's retreat. Regardless of who the master of this star domain was, as long as it didn't target them, everything would be all right. Chikuan Main Star. Lin Yuan stepped out of the Great Hall and entered the lair, a cosmic spaceship, ready to head for the galactic star region. From today on, I'll call you Silver Galaxy. Lin Yuan set the destination as Milky Way star region and left the rest to the smart controls. With the control intelligence of Silver Galaxy, the entire journey was hardly a concern for Lin Yuan, who could freely choose the optimal route. Master, starting now, it will take 5 years to reach the Milky Way star region, a sweet voice echoed in Lin Yuan's ears, belonging to the control intelligence of the Silver Galaxy. 5 years. That's fine. Lin Yuan nodded. Without the Silver Galaxy, if he had to take those standard cosmic spaceships, he wouldn't think of reaching his destination in less than 20 years. The performance of the Silver Galaxy didn't just involve wormhole shuttle over large distances, but the cooldown between 2 wormhole shuttles was also not long. Whoosh! The Silver Galaxy turned into a black lightning bolt, instantly reaching the star platform of Chikuan Main Star, then sailed deep into the cosmic starry sky. Finally, the space slowly rippled with fluctuations, directly engaging in wormhole shuttle. Inside the Silver Galaxy, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. 5 years, which might be brief for other evolvers, were extremely precious for cultivation in Lin Yuan's eyes. With his against heaven's understanding of enlightenment, 5 years were enough for him to make significant progress. Chapter 424 Meeting the Galaxy Master. Please subscribe. Understood. You should know, this is not about traversing worlds, it is the main world. In the traversing worlds, Lin Yuan had an abundance of time, but lacked many of the conveniences of the main world. For instance, the continuously fluctuating origin source of the battlefields of different races could provide Lin Yuan great benefits in comprehending the space core model. There was also that segment of a body from a supreme being of the magic Jade Tower within the virtual world. Of course, the traversing worlds also have their advantages, each with its own strengths and weaknesses. Inner world. It was vast and boundless, almost 30,000 miles in circumference. When he had newly advanced to the 8th rank, Lin Yuan's inner world had swelled to a circumference of 25,000 miles. But through cultivation and the continual enhancement of his understanding of space rules, the expansion speed of the world had increased noticeably. Now, it had even reached 28,000 miles. In the southeast corner of the inner world, Hongbi and Bian, the two 8th rank alien race members, had a numb look in their eyes. Ever since they were brought here by Lin Yuan, the shock in their hearts had never ceased. Wasn't it said that Peak Master Xianxia had just entered the 8th rank? Could someone who had just entered the 8th rank possess such a vast inner world? After exchanging a glance, Hongbi and Bian only felt their mouths becoming parched. Normally, the inner world of someone who had just entered the 8th rank would only have a circumference of 100 miles. Subsequently, as one cultivated further and deepened their understanding of space rules, the inner world would gradually expand. But as for Lin Yuan, Hongbi and Bian, the two 8th rank members of the alien race, swallowed hard. Both in middle and later stages of the 8th rank together did not have an inner world 1/3 as large as that of Lin Yuan, who was in the early stages of the 8th rank. It was simply inconceivable. I finally understand why the Star Lord told us to follow the Peak Master and said what he did at the time. Hongbi was silent for a while before speaking dryly. The words Chikuan Star Lord had spoken roughly meant that they should simply follow Lin Yuan's commands. As for protecting Lin Yuan, not a word was mentioned. At that time, Hongbi and Bian were somewhat puzzled. If Lin Yuan, as someone who had just entered the 8th rank, was going to sit in the fringe star field, wasn't their mission to ensure his safety? Now it seems that Peak Master Xianxia, who had just entered the 8th rank, did not need their protection at all. Based on the range of the inner world, Lin Yuan's strength was more than enough to easily crush both of them. The two 8th rank alien race beings pondered deeply. Their mission in following Lin Yuan was probably to handle the trifles, so that Lin Yuan would not waste his precious time on those matters. Abnormal, too abnormal. How could human civilization have such an abnormality? Hongbi couldn't help but say, a person who matched the 8th rank peak just after entering the 8th rank was a rarity even among those special life forms. Perhaps, this is why human civilization has become a peak clan? Bian murmured to himself in a low voice. The history of human civilization is not very long, only a little over 2 million years. But within such a short time, human civilization leapt to become a peak clan dominating the starry skies, because they gave birth to one genius after another. Here, genius does not simply refer to those talented in evolutionary paths but includes geniuses in all other areas as well. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, 5 years went by. In the Milky Way star region, a black cosmic warship emerged from the wormholes. "Master, we have arrived at the Milky Way star region," said a sweet voice that belonged to the main control intelligence of the Silver Galaxy. Inside the warship, Lin Yuan slowly opened his eyes, hearing the sweet voice of the Silver Galaxy's main control intelligence. "At last, we've arrived." Lin Yuan looked through the spaceship, gazing at the outer starry sky. He saw a star domain that resembled a silvery river hanging in the starry sky, incredibly dazzling and beautiful. 5 years. Lin Yuan's expression was somewhat reflective. These 5 years had allowed him to make tremendous strides in various aspects. Firstly, in the aspect of comprehending the core space model, Lin Yuan had now penetrated the 2092nd kind. One should know that there are a total of 7,782 types of core space models. Having comprehended 2,000 types equates to having completed a quarter of the journey. Even Chikuan's Star Lord had not fully penetrated all core space models. Once all the core space models were understood, it would be equivalent to mastering the complete space rules, and the vast universe would be his to traverse. Secondly, the opening of the Martial Path Evolutionary Path's 8th layer part was significant. If the opening of the 8th layer part is divided into 10 stages, then Lin Yuan was close to completing the 2nd stage. Bear in mind, any evolution path's 8th layer part is crucial for becoming a grand evolver in evolution studies. The 8th layer part of the Martial Path Evolutionary Path was even more difficult. Merely 5 years and he had reached the 2nd stage. Those grand evolvers would likely become despondent if they heard this. Even for an evolutionary scholar, starting from scratch to establish an 8th rank evolution path is no easy task. It requires a significant amount of time and energy, and even then, one may not necessarily gain the approval of the 3 goddesses. I've already conceived over 11,000 evolution paths. Why am I still just an ordinary member of the Magic Jade Tower? Lin Yuan pondered. In the 5 years since, Lin Yuan, at intervals, would comprehend that segment of his body. After advancing to the 8th rank, his realm had significantly improved. Even though he still had to withstand the psychic will pressure, his comprehension speed had definitely increased greatly. In just 5 short years, Lin Yuan had conceived more than 7,000 additional evolution paths. This was considering he only devoted part of his time to the task. Otherwise, it would have been even more. No matter, just continue comprehending. Whether you're an ordinary member or a core one, what's crucial is enhancing one's own strength. Lin Yuan thought to himself, continuously conceiving new evolution paths, then dissecting them to extract their essence, which was his main goal. World-breaking origin force. I've accumulated 15 strands already. Lin Yuan felt the world-breaking origin force inside the majestic and grand door to the myriad realms deep within his mind, a smile appearing on his face. For Lin Yuan, the more world-breaking origin force, the better, as it meant more opportunities for interdimensional travel. It also represented an incredibly powerful life-saving ability. Because, using 50 strands of world-breaking origin force allowed for physical body transference. On the surface, physical body transference meant his physical body could descend and travel between worlds. Such a method of transference had its advantages and disadvantages. The disadvantage was that if one died while traversing worlds, it could mean actual death. The advantage, however, was that all enhancements in the traversed worlds could be synchronized with the physical body. Plus, when evading assassination from the main world, one could use physical body transference for evasion. The worlds selected for transference by the door to the myriad realms were not in the same dimension or plane as the main world. Once Lin Yuan comfortably hid within, even a supreme being would be left helpless and merely watch. Let's go. Directly to the main star. Lin Yuan commanded the Silver Galaxy. Whoosh. The Silver Galaxy once again turned into a bolt of black lightning, vanishing into the starry sky. Milky Way main star. This was a high-class life planet. Since Lin Yuan was appointed as the Galaxy Master and designated this planet as the main star of the Milky Way star region, human officials from nearby star domains had arrived early to carry out a Class B transformation on this life planet. Furthermore, a large army of human evolvers was stationed here. This evolver army, left behind after human civilization took over the star domain, acted as the new Star Lord's left and right hands. The Star Lord should be arriving soon. Everyone, be at your best, a man in an exquisite purple robe spoke in the skies above the Milky Way main star. Next to him stood a blonde man, and behind them a dense army of evolvers. The evolver army was mainly composed of 5th rank evolvers, governed by hundreds of 6th rank evolvers, with the purple-robed man and the blonde man, both 7th rank evolvers, acting as leaders. Our Star Lord is really wealthy, directly going for a Class B transformation of the main star. the blonde man whispered. Usually, newly advanced 8th rank evolvers are quite poor. When they go to a star domain to become a Star Lord, they opt for the free Class C transformation. A Class B transformation requires 100,000 cubic universe crystals, roughly equivalent to the entire assets of a senior 8th rank evolver, including their weapons and treasures. The Star Lord is an unrivaled genius. He stepped into the 8th rank at the age of 100, and his teacher is the Chikuan Star Lord. Just the gifts received at his 8th rank celebration probably exceeded 100,000 cubic universe crystals, incomparable to an ordinary 8th rank Star Lord, said the purple-robed man, glancing at the blonde man. Indeed, the blonde man nodded, his expression showing admiration. He had been shocked for a long time when he first heard that the Milky Way Star Lord was the Shursan Peak Master of the Chikuan Star Domain, a peerless prodigy of human civilization. All right. The Star Lord is here. The purple-robed man seemed to sense something. His expression shifted slightly as he looked ahead. Space began to subtly undulate, and a sleek, black cosmic battleship appeared quietly. Greetings, Galaxy Master. The purple-robed man and the blonde man bowed together. Greetings, Galaxy Master. Behind them, a large army of evolvers knelt in unison, respectfully chanting, Greetings, Galaxy Master. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.